And we'll take a moment of silence for the invocation. Thank you, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Chair Grunder,
Here.
Vice Chair White,
Here.
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 All right, if we can get an approval on the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Agenda approves. Approval of the... Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Sorry, it's my first time, everybody.
Doing great. Doing great.
We'll do the approval of the minutes from the September 19th, 2022 and October 20th, 2022. We can get a motion for that.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from the 19th and October 20th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that passes. On to the business items. Discuss, consider, and act on commercial facade improvement grant application from Prohibition Pizza.
That's her new name. It's like Gale. No, I'm joking, you know, if anyone.
Yes, the pizza place.
Okay, I won't go into that joke. Okay, so this is David and Kelly Potter with Prohibition Pizza. And they submitted a facade improvement grant application actually in October 20th, 2022. They submitted the application before they started construction on their building or the renovation, redevelopment of the now Prohibition Pizza building, which is right next to the Priest Theater. So their request was for $5,000 towards a new roof, and the estimate came in over $15,000, and it's already been put on. And since their request was submitted before October 20th, staff is recommending approval because it is within the guidelines for the facade grant improvement program. The facade grant improvement program allows for up to 50% of the cost of a project to be paid back, not to exceed $5,000. And so this request was for something over $10,000, which would make it applicable. And before y'all make a decision, I'd like for y'all to hear from David and Kelly Potter, kind of a little bit about their business and all they've been doing to revitalize the area and redevelop their building, because they have a really pretty cool story.
Kelly Potter, I guess spokesperson for the Potters since my husband's shy. But we just want to thank you for considering this. It was something that, you know, we ended up submitting. Intention of the building is to obviously be better than the white and blue building that was there before. But not only, you know, High Springs is becoming more of a destination place, and with that, it was really important to honor it and to bring in something that would be attractive. Also with the Prohibition Pizza, with that theme, we really wanted to go back to some historical elements. So again, trying to encompass some very cool decor. And the metal roof, I just really felt strongly about. Certainly could have put a shake roof on or something, or not shake, but a shingled roof, but it just didn't have the same, you know, flair as the metal. So trying to keep something really nice. But thank you guys for your consideration, and we're just trying to keep moving forward and get open soon. Any questions? Or?
Any update on your electrical panel?
We got it in.
You did?
Yes. You can't see the lights from here because the tree's in the way, but there are lights on in the building right now. There is air conditioning in the building right now.
Right.
Flooring is supposed to be started next week, and probably 3-4 weeks we'll have all the machinery in, and then we'll start working on the large batch recipes for everybody. Get those doors open.
All right,
We're
that's
excited.
exciting news.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, there you go.
Yeah,
So do I.
absolutely.
So do I. And today's National Pizza Day, so that makes it even more special.
All
So thank you.
right.
I have one question. I'm just curious. The metal roof, what did you put on there? Is it SM rib? Is it 5V crimp? What kind of metal is it?
It's a
Standing seam?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
It's expensive, but it's durable.
It was very expensive.
Yeah, it is.
But it was, important that it be done right.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
So, Chair, just a question to staff. Normally, we don't approve something if it's already been completed, but staff is recommending we approve this because it was an internal issue that it didn't come before us in a timely fashion, correct?
Right, that was an internal
Okay.
issue. That was staff's fault, and they submitted it prior to construction.
All right, thank you. I'll make a motion if you're ready for one. I make a motion, we approve the facade request from the Potters for Prohibition Pizza for $5,000.
Second.
Do we just do one, or do I need to go? Are you gonna go per person?
No.
Oh, good. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? And that passes.
I'm looking forward to the pizza.
Absolutely. Haven't seen what that building used to be when it was the old Herald building. It's nice
Yes.
to see it getting fixed. Thank you for that.
We were told it started out as a lumber store.
Yeah.
That's where it was originally built for. And where the High Springs Brewery is, it used to be the lumber yard.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it was the welding shop.
Yeah,
The Herald and then
yeah.
Salon and then this.
No, thank you, guys. It's gonna be awesome. We're excited. Chair report, I actually do not have one. That was very simple. Director report?
So we have put Amy Bohannon. We promoted her from Public Works into the CRA. We're calling it CRA manager position because she's been given a lot more responsibilities. And tonight she is at a Gainesville Chamber banquet because Duke Energy is giving us the grant award for the overlay of the basketball court. So there were some city staff that went tonight, and she went to that where she would be here tonight. So we're very excited to have her on. She's already started working on a number of projects, which we'll share with you next month.
Perfect. All right, announcements. I don't think we have any announcements. And public comment. Not all at once. everybody. Not all at once. Okay, and if we can get a motion to adjourn,
Motion made.
and a second,
Second.
and adjourn.
All right. I never remember to turn this thing on. So again, good evening, everyone. glad to have you with us tonight, and we're gonna start our meeting. We're gonna call our meeting to order on February 9th at 6:30 p.m. City Commission meeting. We're gonna stand, please. We're gonna have our invocation, and then we're gonna do our Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Lord, we thank you again for allowing us to assemble here in this diocese tonight to take care of the business of City High Springs. And Lord, we had a new elevator to come up this afternoon. We thank you so much for that elevator. We've been waiting a while, but we knew you could get it for us, Lord, and we thank you. We thank you for allowing the audience to be here with us tonight, and we are all going to work together and do what we need to do to get our items taken care of today. We ask that you guide us, continue to watch over us, and help us do what we need to do. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Now we'll have our roll call, please.
Mayor James,
Here.
Vice Mayor Ambrose,
Here.
Commissioner Gunger, Commissioner White,
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
All right, thank you. And let's take a look at our agenda, please. But before we approve it, we need to make one change. Under new business, we will add item number 13, which will be discuss and consider a resolution concerning the solid waste franchise agreement that we have with GFL Enterprise. So with that change, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve of the agenda with the item 13.
Second.
All right, it has been properly moved and second that the agenda be approved as amended. All those in favor respond with aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, agenda approved. Item D is approval of consent agenda. Minutes from January 26, 2023, commission meeting.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda for minutes for January the 26th, 2023 commissioner meeting.
Second.
All right, it has been properly moved and second that the minutes from January 26 commission meeting be approved. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Item E is special presentation. First being Suwannee River Water Management District presentation on flood risk review. Come forward, please.
My name is Mary Diaz, and I'm a professional engineer for the Suwannee River Water Management District. And in 2019, the process for the Santa Fe watershed was begun, a discovery process. And the results of this discovery process said that the Santa Fe watershed needed a flood risk project. And the flood risk project has been completed, and the maps are ready to be reviewed now. I'm here to encourage local property owners to take part in the development of the preliminary flood maps of the Santa Fe watershed. There will be 3 public meetings happening this month. Residents who live in areas of Alachua, Baker, Bradford, Columbia, Gilchrist, Suwannee, Union may be impacted by these updated flood maps. Any member of the public can go to these meetings. Staff members will be available one-on-one to look at specific properties and explain the flood maps. FEMA requires only community officials to review the maps. However, the district sees the value in citizens' review of the maps before going preliminary. Once the maps go preliminary, you need engineering to provide input on these maps. So for this, the district is hosting 3 public meetings and will give a 30-day period for anybody to provide input. Last time, an individual pointed out a culvert missing once the preliminary flood hazard maps were released. At this point, in order to change our model to add the culvert, the individual needed to hire an engineer. So the moment to provide input is now at the flood risk review meeting, before the preliminary maps are released. This is the only time we can check our model and potentially change the map with just your input. The area indicated on this map is where the residents, city, and county officials are encouraged to provide feedback during these meetings to be taken into account for the development of the preliminary maps. As you can see, the city of High Springs is included in this study. Okay, go to the next one. For those who cannot attend in person, an online option will be available before the meeting on the district's website at myswanneeriver.com. The virtual tour should be live and contains the updated maps as well as a lot of other good information. I encourage everybody to visit this site even if you are attending the meeting. Just type SRWMD virtual tour on any search engine and the first result should be the site. You can go to the last. So the 3 public meetings have been scheduled for residents to provide feedback. They're February 21st at the Bradford County Courthouse in Stark from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., February 22nd at the James A. Lewis Commission Chambers in the city of Alachua from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., and February 23rd at the Westside Community Center in Lake City, also from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Any member of the public can attend any of these meetings. Thank you for the opportunity to share this information, and I hope I expressed the importance of the meeting, and I hope you all attend. I'll be glad to take any questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
Are there any changes that, are significant for the land in the city of High Springs or along the actual Santa Fe River from the previous models?
Can you repeat that again, sir?
Is there any significant change in the updated models that are going to be discussed over what currently exists along the Santa Fe River and through High Springs?
Yes, I can't recall specifically if there's anything major, but there are significant changes. The majority of the buildings in High Springs are not having an increase in their base flood elevation, if that provides some sort of relief, but I would encourage you to look at the maps for any specific areas and to come to the meeting, and we can look at specific parcels. Like I said, we'll have 10 staff members with stations, and each of them will be able to be going one-on-one to go at specific parcels and explain any details.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Let me see. Audience, you have any question?
Please speak, Madam Mayor.
When she's done,
Well, ma'am,
wait till she's finished.
I thought it had to do comments about the meetings. Never mind, the city manager told me to sit down.
Yeah, but as soon as she's done, then he can come up and say what he has to say. Okay, no questions?
I think he had a question on the presentation.
Is that what he wanted, a question? Okay, come on. I thought he wanted a presentation. Okay, come on, Bruce.
This might be stupid anyway,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I just want to know about the meeting, what it has to do with, and it might not even have to do with this part of the meeting. Is there anything gonna be discussed about what they're doing to our water? They wanting to pump all our water out and send it down south, or they want to bottle our water. And not trying to be smart, I go back 8 generations here. I watched the springs and the rivers go down.
May I respond? I don't know. Okay, so the meeting will just be going over the changes in the flood maps. So we won't discuss any specific projects or anything.
That's all I know. Thank you for your help. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Sorry if I misunderstood.
That's all right. He'll keep me straight.
Okay. All right, is that it? Okay, and we thank you.
Thank you. I hope to see you guys soon.
All right. All right, we have a second presentation on the upcoming Parks and Recreation event. No?
So we were supposed to have someone here. Do you have anything to add on it, Bruce? Okay. Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was my cue.
Oh, okay.
For the disc golf tournament this week? Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So we do have somebody here.
We do
Okay.
have someone here. I
All
thought
right.
I was in the next line item. I'm sorry. My name is Chris Clark. I'm a member of the Gainesville Chainhawk Disc Golf Club. I served as chairman for 3 years and secretary before that. The goal of our group, we run events every week. We run events all year long. We run a major event in December, bring several hundred people to the state, to the Gainesville area from all across the state and the country and even Canada and beyond. We do our best to promote the sport throughout our area and surrounding areas. I've done a lot of work in High Springs at the sports complex, putting in the courses out there, and just recently putting in a temporary, hopefully permanent course just north of BMX track. This coming weekend, we have a junior event. This is the 6th time I ran it. It's grown exponentially from the 15 or 16 players we had the first event to well over 100 this time. I'm not sure what it's going to top out at. We had some really bad weather forecast for Saturday, so that's I'm getting some calls telling me I'm not going to make it. But the event's open from 4-year-olds to 18-year-olds. It requires a wide variety of courses and abilities. So Damon and his staff have been real accommodating, and we've been able to really put together something I think special for the kids out there. We're bringing a whole lot to it. The whole event's free to all juniors, players, and stuff. So this is the type of thing we do. We do clinics. We do like I said, we create a lot of local events and stuff. But the other thing we do is we promote courses. We advocate for courses. We maintain the existing courses we have in town. We partner with Parks and Rec to be the immediate response team to picking up sticks, cleaning up branches, letting them know when there's a danger, a tree falling over, things like that. That's because we're there every day. What we really need is more courses. The sport has grown exponentially since COVID. We lost when all the other sports were shutting down, the soccers and the baseballs and the basketballs and the frisbee sports, ultimate frisbee. Disc golf became the place you could go. You could buy a couple discs. You could go out, play by yourself or with a couple people in the family you trust or whatever, and you could stay away from everybody else. It exploded. When you look at the map of courses, this area is low. The whole Gainesville, the whole Central Florida, we're very few courses, and Florida is one of the highest population disc golf in the country. I believe we're top 5. So anyway, we are always in need of new courses. So, and I'm always in Damon's ear trying to, hey, find me a piece of property, get us a place we can put a course. We need professional level courses. It's hard to believe, but the top players in this industry make over $1 million a year, base salary. So it is a legitimate sport. It is legitimately growing and blossoming, and there is economic potential of having the courses here and players coming from all over to come visit the town and play the sport. So that's all I got. You have any questions?
Question, Commissioners? Audience, do you have any questions? Okay.
Isn't there a course out here on 441 going into Gainesville?
So that is Northside Park, yes, sir.
Okay.
That is the oldest standing course in Florida. That is the home of the Gainesville Chainhawks. That's where I learned about the sport, and that's we do a lot of work out there. That's where we run our big event every year. Yes, sir.
You say the ages from, what's the ages again?
Well, it's 4 to 18. The child has to turn 4 sometime this year. So on Saturday morning, I'm going to have 3-year-olds competing out there in the drizzling rain who are just excited to be there. It's a fantastic event. We're going to be done by lunch. Bring your umbrella, come and check it out. You will not be disappointed. It's really is an amazing event. I got vendors and sponsors who really stepped up to make the whole thing free, players packs, prizes, vouchers, trophies, games afterwards. I mean, we really go all out, and it looks like a real tournament vibe. So.
That's not young people that make the $1 million a year, though. That's adults.
You know, they might make $1 million. There's some really talented juniors out there. You would be impressed. 10, 12 years from now, we might be borrowing money from them. So let's hope.
Just curious. When I get home, I'll punch my grandson, boy.
Exactly. Come on out.
I heard the story from Damon, but apparently one of the pros you were talking about was driving on I-75 and saw courses near me, so he pulled off the highway and came to our course here in High Springs, and he did a review of it and posted something about it being a hidden gem and has over 250,000 views on his YouTube channel.
He didn't tell me about this. I'm gonna have to find out who.
You know, yeah, a lot of people pay attention to disc golf, and that was, you know, it's not in our world, in our circles, but within that circle, we got some really good press recently.
So, disc golf has an app we use, and it's called UDisc. And once a course is on UDisc, it immediately becomes available on this map. And you can anytime I go on vacation, and as soon as the wife's not looking, I'm looking up UDisc to see which one's close and how I'm going to sneak away for a couple hours. And that's it. When you're driving down the highway, you're looking for a break, they can pop open the app and then go, oh, hey, you know, there's one 5 minutes away. And it immediately brings people to here. I mean, and then they play it, they rate it, and, you know, and those ratings draw more people in. So it's self-advertising, really. So.
For those of you that don't know, the current 9-hole course is at the sports complex.
Yep.
And for this event this weekend, on the west side of the BMX track where they do the RV parking for there, where we have some storage over there, they're using that other side to do, I believe, 9 holes temporary as well. Did you all get 9 in?
We got 9 in. It's going to be a 27. I have 3 9-hole courses. The one is really short for my little ones. It ranges from like 50 to 115 feet. And then we got the original one, and then the other one is for my biggest kids. We've stretched it out a little bit to make it a little bit more challenging. So.
As much property as a regular golf course, so it makes it nice, and the maintenance is way different. And so I'm sure when we get into strategic planning hot and heavy throughout this year, this will be something on Parks and Rec's radar. So just keep that in the back of your mind. We don't need hundreds of acres to do one of these. We need a few acres, so it's much more manageable. And I've seen them out there during soccer practices. There doesn't interrupt with soccer. They're out there doing their thing, and go by there because they're out there all the time. It gets used quite a bit.
It does, actually.
Anything else?
Thank you for your time. Have a great
Okay,
evening.
thank you. Thank you for what you do with the kids. All right. In the absence of any items on the unfinished business tonight, we will move along to citizens requesting comments for issues that are not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
My name's Elaine Gabranson. I live in High Springs. I know everybody here loves High Springs and wants to keep our springs pollution-free. The residents that live here are also concerned and would like you to consider the following motion. We're proposing that you consider a motion for plastic straws and plastic carry-out containers to be banned from use in all High Springs establishments offering carry-out services. Plastic is ingested with deadly consequences by birds, fish, and other wildlife. We also ingest it too. It remains in our springs and oceans for years without dissolving. Science has found that humans are ingesting plastic particles from their drinking water. Huge areas of the ocean, as well as our precious springs, are contaminated with miles and miles of plastic. We'd like you to act on this motion as soon as possible. I have a copy of this if you want to look at it. Thank you.
All right.
Name's Bruce Borders, 21535 South US 441 High Springs, Florida 32643. I did it right this time, Madam Mayor.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'm here, I won't say nothing bad to me. It ain't, it's no cuss word. My grandpa and they used to use it, but because our mayor's a great preacher and all that. The old saying is, money talks, BS walks. So, I'm here today there, and I've got with our great recreation department, we're working on, and I'm gonna say 70 to 80% sure it will happen. When you're dealing with a government, y'all know that. They'll lie to you and say they're gonna give you the money and all this. We're going through a private individual. And anyway, we're wanting to get this police theater fixed. If we don't get it fixed soon, there won't be no sense in fixing it because it's not gonna be there. Well, the state has promised that they're gonna give some money. But the old saying, preacher, don't count your money till you get it in the bank. So the police theater, another thing we're wanting to do, we want to be just like a Lotchaway. You hear what I just said? We want to be like a Lotchaway. We want to have our own football field. We want to have our own gym, our own tennis courts, our own baseball field, and all that. Have a sports complex like them. And we're, like I say, 78% sure it's gonna happen. And as long as the good Lord lets me run this mouth and I can walk and get here, I'm gonna be a nightmare. We've got a good city manager, and believe it or not, we got a good assistant city manager. Fire chief. We got a good acting fire chief that believes in the community and all that. Hey, look there. That chief of police is known all over America. That fire chief is known all over America. So anyway, we're gonna be working on this. We got an appointment at 1 o'clock and starting this thing up. And before I leave here, I want to ask, so the assistant city manager don't have to run out there and get on me. When you get to the murals and all, if we got a comment on them, will we be able to speak? Mm-hmm. Thank you. And believe it or not, we even got a good lawyer, you know. And I think most lawyers are crooks. So y'all have a good day.
Bruce, what's your dog's name?
His name's Coda.
Cody?
Coda. Excuse me, that was my dead dog. My dog. His name is Judd. He's named after the world's top sheriff, Grady Judd.
Good looking dog.
Thank y'all for everything. And again, thank y'all for what y'all do. And there's one more thing. And I know all y'all are working on this. I make a motion right now that we take Pioneer Day and the Christmas break from the Chamber of Commerce. Y'all are doing all the work. Y'all start on it a month before, after everything's over. They still doing stuff had to do with the Christmas parade right now, you know? Hey, if you're paying everything and you're doing everything and you got people coming in here, moving in there, and I've been here 8 generations trying to tell me what I can do and what I can't do, I don't listen too good. God bless y'all.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right. Any comments from the commissioners? No? All right, let's move on to new business, item H. 1. Discuss, consider, and act on mural application Z23000001. Train mural located at 18555 Main Street.
Mayor, we have a presentation so that as each mural goes down, we can flash it up on screen.
Okay.
And then Christy can tell you just like a little bit about each one so you know what you're voting on.
Very
It's
good.
the same presentation we gave to the plan board.
Very good.
And she's going to go over some things with you.
Okay.
My microphone died, so we're gonna switch that out real quick. Okay, now, oh, goodness me. Hang on.
Yeah, that was working.
All right, so what have I done wrong?
Too close to the
That way, okay. Can you all hear me okay? All right, so we've got a presentation. It's very basic info on each mural. It'll just be 3 slides each. So the first one that you're looking at is the train mural. If you can go ahead and click that. So this is the conceptual art that was provided by the applicant. So it tells us kind of the theme and the colors. The second slide is location, so the location of which tax parcel it is, the address, and which side it's going to be on. So this one is the southern elevation facing 185th Road. And then the last slide for this mural is the size of it, which was provided by the applicant. And they are here in the audience, so if you guys have any specific questions for them, feel free to ask.
And the plan board voted to approve this one, correct?
They voted 4-1 to approve this one as long as it met the size requirements.
So we thought we'd just do one at a time instead of going through the whole presentation first so that y'all could talk about each one separately.
All right, we have any comments for commissioners?
I just want to say that I think this absolutely looks amazing compared to what we have there now, which used to be nice, but the quality that's going to be up there now is just second to none. And so I personally am thrilled and excited that this is coming. And I mean, look at that thing. That's awesome.
Anything else from the commissioners?
Just, as Christy said, these are concepts. That's not necessarily the art. It's representative of the color and the theme and the content. But what actually ends up there, the artists are still working on.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that to look like that. I like that.
And one thing I did want to say that I was wanting to say before we start this, and I forgot, is that a lot of the discussion during the plan board kind of melted over into content. Kind of sounding like you right now, Scott. But just like, please keep in mind that this is not about content. It's about if it meets the specifications of the ordinance or not.
All right, anything else? Oh,
Madam Mayor, I'm
Hi.
Nancy Lavin.
Yes.
I'm the president of the Heart of High Springs. We're the applicant. I wanted to let you know that Doug Hancock is in the audience, and he is the person that has given the conceptual drawings and is in charge of all the artists. So we're here tonight. If you guys have any questions, I know there's several we're going to be looking at. So we won't stand up here, but please reach out, and when you need us to come forward or if you have questions, we're here to answer anything that you might have, okay?
thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I
okay.
have a
All right.
question that's really going to apply to all of them, so I might as well just ask this question now. With respect and completely independent to content, in terms of the COAs that were submitted, there's verbiage on all of them that states the above image illustrates the approximate area to be painted and indicates the subject matter and most probable color palette. The image is representative of the subject intended, but not the final artwork. Final artwork will be no higher than 15 feet. If 50% of the wall is to be painted, or 20 feet if less than 50% of the wall is painted, obviously in accordance with our mural ordinance. Any other COA that our Historic Preservation Board receives has to have exact dimensions and exact colors. Just as the night they presented their COAs to the Historic Planning Preservation Board, the Springs Institute had an exact presentation of how they're going to look, paint colors, chip numbers, everything. The next one had the same thing. If a resident is going to paint a fence or paint their home that's in the historic district, we would require them to do the same. So from a process perspective, I think we need to, without respect to content, this is a content-neutral comment, I think it's completely appropriate that the Historic Preservation Board has the exact dimensions and the exact colors, so that they can make a determination whether or not they feel it's appropriate.
I'll let the attorney speak to this. When staff did their review, we simply went by the mural ordinance in place.
We had discussions about this with respect to crafting the ordinance, and this is a little different than simply painting a house or making a modification to a house. This is artwork, as we talked about at length, that relates to free speech. So there is a little bit of leeway, I think, that is given to an artist in the field that is creating a piece of artwork, and the wall or the material that is being placed in the painting that's being placed on the particular building, there may be some items in the building that necessitate a change from an exact replica of what is proposed in the painting. And so that's why we've used the words that we've used in crafting this, that a certain amount of creative license be given to the artist, to the people in the field that are creating the piece of artwork, and not to have an exact replica in that regard.
My comment didn't have anything to do with the mural ordinance itself. It's quite broad, and they have plenty of leeway in our ordinance. This has to do specifically with submitting a certificate of appropriateness to our Historic Preservation Board. Any other citizen in our community, any other business owner, would have to submit the specifics. That has nothing to do with the artistic integrity, artistic expression, content of what's going on the wall. But we've got 5 gentlemen on our Historic Preservation Board that put a lot of effort into doing what they think is best to make sure that our historic district remains historic. And I think that we are not following the guidelines for the COA applications as we would for anybody else in the town. Is it unreasonable to expect that they can give us exact dimensions? They know the dimensions of the wall. They know which area they're going to paint. I think that's a reasonable request.
Lays out the dimensions that are in the process. And at a planning and zoning board, I think almost every one of the votes said as long as it's within the dimensions as specified in the ordinance. So there was discussion about that. That was one of the conditions for approval of each one of these applications, and there was discussion about the dimensions.
So if we had a resident that wanted to put a new fence in front of their property, because that's happening right now, and they said, well, it's going to be between 4 and 6 feet, it'll be okay, the Historic Preservation Board wouldn't approve it, right? They would require it to be exact. Why is that not applicable here? That has nothing to do with artwork or content.
The ordinance says it shall be no bigger than this. If it's 15
That's the ordinance.
feet-
I'm not talking about the ordinance right now. I'm talking about the COAs that were presented. You know, I was at that meeting. I listened to all of that presentation. We're not keeping them to the same standard as we would anybody who pays taxes and lives here. Now, I know a lot of these business owners pay taxes. They're business owners. They're part of the community. Why would we not hold them to the same standard for the COA? I'm not talking about the ordinance.
The painting, while the artist is in the field, may be perhaps smaller than the dimensions that are listed in the ordinance. That could be a possibility. It can be no larger than what is listed in the ordinance.
You're conflating the ordinance again. I'm not talking about the ordinance. I'm talking about the COA.
The ordinance regulates what is being done here. I keep answering your question, and you keep on not listening to the answer, I believe.
Well, I don't think it's appropriate.
I'm trying to give you an answer that relates. These permits are related to the ordinance. So you have to have as your starting place the ordinance. That's your starting place and the certificate of appropriateness. The Planning and Zoning Board understood the ordinance, they understood the application, and they voted to approve each one of these applications on that basis. So I think it's very clear as to what is outlined in the ordinance and the purpose and intent as to why the regulations are the way they are stated in the ordinance. And I keep on answering you in that way because that's how the regulations work in this instance. This is very different than constructing a fence, very different than painting a fence. This is constructing artwork that the United Supreme Court has said this is free speech. It's different than painting something. It's a very different process, a very different application of the law.
Okay.
Motion before public comment?
No, not yet. I'm going to them next. Nothing else? All right, audience, you got comments?
Here we go again. Hey, look here. I want to thank everybody that works for the city here. I want to thank, this is public comment. I want to thank Ross, Miss Gloria James, Ryan Williams, and Mr. Grutter. Did I say that right? Okay, I want to thank them. You know why I want to thank them? Them 4 people that I just named was born and raised here in High Springs. I'm gonna have to agree with our great attorney. I'm agreeing with the attorney now, lawyers I don't like. The people of High Springs want this. And I think that is a good picture right there because they showed the old engine and the engine that was when High Spring was thriving, you know, and it all has to do with agriculture. And I want everybody to know the man that drew that is in the audience. Will you please stand up, sir? Sir, will you please stand up? I think you did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I did the rendering.
Well,
Just to give us an idea of where you did that.
I'll prove it 1,000%. If I didn't like it, I'd tell you. But anyway, I think they did a good job. And Attorney Walker, I'm with you, buddy. Thank you now.
All right, thank you. No one else? All right, commissioners. Okay.
For clarity, so this went before the Historical Preservation Board?
Yes, it went before the Historic Preservation Board, and as staff did our presentation, we just basically went down and said whether it met the specifications of the ordinance or not, and where it didn't, we pointed it out, and they made their decisions based on what they thought was best for the city and our guidance as far as the complying with the ordinance or not.
So they approved it.
Yes, they approved this. It was kind of contingent upon, again, the mural ordinance says that it can't be beyond 15 feet. And so as long as they stayed within the size specifications, that's how they approved it.
Okay. So all the necessary ones that need to go before them went before them.
Yes, every single one. And so as Christy goes through each one, we'll tell you if it met or if it didn't met and what the plan board's recommendation was.
Plan board and historical.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, the Historic Preservation Board, which is the same members.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments? If not, entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the mural ordinance application Z23-1.
I second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that 223-1 Muriel be approved for 18555 Main Street. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
Motion carries 4-1. Our next one is item 2. Discuss, consider, and act on Muriel application Z23-2, Speedway Muriel, located at 23560 Northwest 185th Road, Suite 30.
So this is mural number 2, Speedway. Second slide will be the location, which is on this specific tax parcel in a different suite. It's being proposed on the northern elevation, which is going to face that alleyway, so you'll be able to see it if you're like near Chompers or in that parking lot area. You can't see it from the road. And then the third slide is the dimensions. So what was proposed to us was 15 by 32, and then the measurements of the wall. And on this one, the Historic Preservation Board voted to recommend approval 4-1.
I can hardly hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can barely hear you.
You want me to repeat that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is mural number 2, Speedway. This is the conceptual art that was provided by the applicant. And then slide 2 is location, which it faces the alleyway, which you can't see it from the road. And then slide 3 is the slide that has the dimensions on it. So proposed is 15 by 32, and then we have the dimensions of the whole wall. Oh, and the vote was approval by Historic Preservation Board 4-1.
Comments, commissioners?
I think it's interesting that, you know, I'm born and raised here in High Springs, and I had no clue that we had a speedway here at one point. I didn't understand that you could still see it to this day, kind of the outline of it, if you get on Google Earth and look at it. But what I think is wonderful about this process, and that people need to kind of accept and take in, is that this brings up conversation amongst people that they maybe have known for years and years and years that educates you on new things. So I actually had a conversation with somebody, and I literally have known my entire life about this, and they were so excited to tell me all about the old speedway and how they used to race with their parents who have now passed on, and their dads and whatnot. So I'm very excited that we are doing this. This is the way to preserve our great history in this town. All these renderings, Mr. Hancock, you did an amazing job. These renderings really show what can be brought forward. And I take anybody to kind of look up the Wall Dogs and see what they've done in other places throughout the world, and understand how really fortunate we are that professionals of that caliber are willing to come to High Springs, Florida, and spend time and energy in order to do this. And all it's going to do is excite more and more people. I've heard more excitement come out of this than I've heard any negative. I'd love to hear some negatives. I would. I just don't know that there's that many. And I also don't think this has anything to do with the fence.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Grunside. This is my first hearing about a High Springs Speedway, and I've been here 65 years. Jimmy, where was it?
Mr. Barber, there were Charles Hatch, a bunch of them had old cars and they had a speedway, and that was our excitement. But it was out there where about, well, Tillman Acres is, where Miss Simmons's house is, it's a little bit above it.
Okay.
I can remember as a little boy, and it was free, we got in free.
All right.
I thought I knew it all. I go to show you just don't know it all.
So to put it in perspective, it's that the road in Tillman that goes to nowhere, right? There were supposed to be the road that goes out for the phase 2. If you take that and just go straight through back toward town, you can see the outline. If you go into Tillman and you go down the main drag on the left where there's supposed to be a road that goes into the other phase. If you follow that on Google Maps, you can kind of see the outline of it still. Yeah. It was extremely interesting. I did not believe the individual when they first told me, and he made me pull it up, and we looked at it. So I'm excited about it. I think it's a good thing.
Very good. Any other comments, commissioners? Audience?
Well, like I say, I went back 8 generations. And you know what? I'd forgot all about that thing till it was brought up tonight. And again, another thing, and look at the old cars and I remember Hatches, that I think they still racing now, but Mr. Barber, he was a good thing there. And if we get, now look here, when we get that thing up there and all, we might even have a piano player come up there and play for us. You know, we got a piano player in the audience, can play a piano. So he might come up there and play for us. I'm for that too. Y'all have a good one.
Anyone else? All right, no other comments. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve ordinance or mural application Z23-2.
Second.
I gotta wake up here. It has been properly moved and second that application number 223-2 be approved for 23560 Northwest 185th Road. All those in favor respond with aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
Okay. Motion carries 4-1.
Come on. That's
Come on, guys.
that's not nice. That's not nice. That's not nice. That's not being respectful, please. Oh, the dog. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, the dog growling. Okay, I'm sorry. Bruce, the other Bruce. All right.
Okay, our next one is item 3. Discuss, consider, and act on application number Z233, Diver Mural, located at 18487 Main Street.
This is mural number 3, the diver. So this is the concept art provided to us that depicts a diver. And on the next slide would be the location, which is over at extreme exposure. There is a issue with this one. So the zoning of these parcels over there is R2. Per the city ordinance regarding murals, it can only be on commercially zoned properties, which R2 is a residentially zoned property. So even though there is an existing commercial structure there, the dive shop, the zoning is not commercial. So that could be a potential issue. On the next slide is the proposed size, and then the Historic Preservation Board, they voted 4-1, voted approval contingent on a rezoning.
I don't know. Okay, there we go. Just to know, during the process, staff was asked their recommendation, and staff recommended approval based on zoning in progress. And that was a concept that the city attorney can explain a little better than me if he still thinks that's applicable or not. But basically, what happened here was it is zoned residential, but when staff does the land use change, not the land use, the zoning map change, then we will be recommending for that entire area, not just that parcel, that it be commercial zoning, because everything in that area is commercial zoning, so it should be. So hopefully when we get that done, hopefully this year, that will be our recommendation. So I think zoning in progress is based on intent.
Madam Mayor, that is correct. My understanding in talking with the city manager's office and Christie with the planning office, the future land use map in this area is commercial. Your zoning is supposed to match your future land use map. That's the intent of the zoning. So your future land use map is correct with respect to the use of this property. The underlying zoning is R2. So the intent is when they do their work on both the land development regulations and the mapping, which I know they're underway with already on these things, as they get time with all the projects they have before them, the zoning on this is going to change as well, the underlying zoning. So under the concept of zoning in progress, it is an appropriate accommodation, and that's what the historic board did in this instance as well. They approved it on that basis as stated by Christie with a contingency. One other item that was talked about at the Historic Preservation Board was the fact that all of the block is in commercial use at this point, is my understanding. And I believe this property was the old post office. I think that's what the testimony was, or the discussion. So it's always been commercial in nature, at least in recent recorded memory. So that's the other piece of it and somehow the zoning map was not correct in this instance, and so it appears to be an error. The other thing that was mentioned at the Historic Preservation Board meeting was that it may be that this is improperly recorded on the map itself, and it was never zoned residential in this instance either. And that would take a tremendous amount of effort and work on Christie's part and the manager's part, time that they don't really have to spend on something like this. And so the discussion was, we're going to rezone it. No matter what, we're just going to fix it on when we do a rezoning as we intend to do. So that was the nature of the accommodation that we talked about at Historic Preservation Board, Madam Mayor.
And if I can take it a little further. And there's discrepancy between the city map and the county map, where one of the maps shows it as commercial, the county map does. So, or the appraiser's district, I think. But to go back and determine what happened there and why there's a discrepancy, it would take a significant amount of time and effort on the behalf of staff, and we still don't know if we'd be able to figure it out. So since it should be commercial zoning anyway, again, not just that parcel, the entire block, that's why we think it makes sense to do the zoning in progress.
Commissioners?
Madam Mayor, on this one, what would preclude the artist from painting the art on a panel So, I mean, nobody's arguing that that's a residential structure. Nobody lives there, and I don't know that anybody ever has. I don't think that rezoning is going to be an issue. But what would preclude them from just doing it on a panel so that it could be placed on the side of the structure after rezoning was complete? Is that not?
That they could do that.
Okay. And I have a question about this one. The verbiage in the box is too small. I can't see what it says. Is there a way to enlarge that or tell us what it says on there?
I know what it says.
Kevin, you got this.
Okay.
Commissioner Whites, yes, it is hard to see, right? Because it's this tiny version. Apologize. This is actually the text that was displayed when we had the storyboards being voted on by the public, and it's a synopsis of cave diving in the community. So it's actually, the community actually read through it as well. We've had 4 or 5 historians work on this and make sure it's accurate. I don't have it handy to read off to you today, apologize, but it's been vetted by the community. It was voted on the community. This is actually one of the top subject matters that the community wanted to have, which is why we're painting this one, out of approximately 35 or so total subjects. So it's just telling, it's really for somebody walking up that has no idea what cave diving is and what it means to High Springs and what happened here with the start of it, and it gives that kind of idea and history about it, and then you can dive deeper into the content if you want separately. So
I didn't have a question about the content other than, is this supposed to be West Skiles or is that just a generic diver? Because when you talk about this as one of the top vote getters, we never got metadata, so I really don't have any idea what kind of response you got in your survey. But based on the feedback, at least that I saw on Facebook, the generic cave diving one was one of the least. Now the West Skiles one was very popular, according, based on who responded or who liked it.
I don't have all the data of the votes and everything for this because we were just working on the applications based off this ordinance. So I don't have all that. I don't know if it's relevant, but all of the items that were selected for these murals are the top voted items. The community voted on it, and we accepted those votes. So
I remember at the last meeting when you guys wanted to do some city buildings, I had asked for the metadata then, and I thought Sean was going to get it. I don't know if he did or not.
I don't
but
have it, so I can't. If I had it, I would give it to you right now. I don't have it. I don't know if it really matters for the application either.
Well, it matters to me because it's the community, and we're being told that this is a community-led event, and the data that's available to me that I can see does not bear that out. And I know Commissioner Grunder said he's gotten a lot of positive comments. I have not. And that's just been, and I came to all of the events in March. I sat right here on that Saturday while people came in and out, while Railroad Bob was doing his presentations. I came to the 1-hour fireside chats in the library, met your lovely daughter. She's absolutely delightful. And there were 3 people there. So since I had not heard any support, I wanted to make sure I threw myself into the arena where there would be people there who were supporting it. And I didn't see it there either. So in terms of the cave diving one, all I can see that was on Facebook was there was a lot of support comparatively for West Skiles specifically, not for cave diving so much. Now, obviously, they kind of go hand in hand, and that's kind of why I was wondering if that was supposed to be him. And in terms of this one specifically, this is on the side of a dive shop, and I think that the verbiage in there, cave diving High Springs, is traversing the line to advertising, since that's kind of what they specialize in. And I would recommend that that verbiage be changed perhaps so that it wasn't perceived as advertising.
I have the verbiage here. I can read it to you. Our underwater cave explorers continue to increase our understanding of our planet's hydrology, braving extreme conditions such as tight channels, impaired vision, and dangerous life-threatening conditions. These explorers go to experience and learn the inner workings of our river and planet. I also know that this isn't on the dive shop side, it's on Global Underwater Explorer side, And I think those are two separate businesses. My understanding is that there's two sides to that business. And so I don't know that it's on the side that faces the True Value store, the Bennett's True Value. So it's not even really visible from the road. You have to walk down the alleyway to see this mural. It's not something that would draw in people to that business, okay?
So then you disagree with me in terms of it being more advertising? Since
No,
it,
I don't believe, in my opinion, that's not advertising. It's on the side of the global underwater explorers who are, they go all over the world, and it's not a dive shop. It's not a scuba diving shop. It's a research organization, to my understanding, about their business. But I'm not that affiliated with them, but I know there's two separate businesses in that building. The dive shop is one, and I'm not sure what the name of that is, but the side where the mural's going towards Bennett's is Global Underwater Explorers. And I believe the owner of the building is Jared Jablonski, who is the owner of those two businesses and another business in town called Halcyon, which manufactures dive equipment. And I know that people come from all over the world to dive in our springs. And so that was a topic that many people brought to us, was that diving was an integral piece. And I don't know the exact application, but I know that methods that were developed in the caves in High Springs through this diving process, through people like Global Underwater Explorers and Jared Jablonski, are the techniques that were used to save those children in Thailand, I believe it is, who were in a cave and stuck when water came up. And there's been a couple documentaries and I think a movie on that. And I was told that those techniques were developed here in High Springs through the underwater cave diving events and community that has grown here over many years. So cave diving is extremely important to the economy here in this community. And so we had lots of feedback from people. And there was another panel on West Skiles, and that one didn't receive as many rating. I don't have those numbers, and you did ask for them. Mr. Cal Sean was going to, I know he told me he sent an email to you that indicated that he didn't have those numbers. I'm not sure why that wouldn't have gotten to you, but he is out of the country right now, so I can't follow up with him on that.
I would still request that that verbiage be taken off because I do think it crosses over to advertising.
When could we rezone this? Or fix the zoning issue? I don't want to say rezone because it sounds like it possibly was zoned and just got messed up somewhere along the way.
We can do it one of two ways. You can tell staff to do a city-initiated zoning, and we can go ahead and start the process. It takes around 2 months because it has to go to Plan Board and the City Commission, and or you can wait because we are we are redoing the zoning categories and the zoning map because we finished the comprehensive plan, so we need to make them align. And the goal is for that to get done this calendar year, hopefully fiscal year, but I'm going to give me a couple extra months. Me and Christy a couple extra months.
I would think my concern would be, we just put in a mural ordinance. I would ask that they put it on a panel until we have it zoned completely correctly. That way we don't, the last thing I want to do is put this ordinance into effect and then immediately, the first chance we get, violated. Even if it's a mistake that happened in the somewhere along the way that we likely won't be able to find. And then I would ask the city attorney, your opinion or professional opinion on if that's advertising. I would say it isn't. It's my personal opinion, but I'd rather have a legal opinion on if you think that's something that would even come up into an issue later on.
The words that are used are so generic as to what the activity is and not related to the business or not advertising for the business. I would agree if the name of the business was inscribed next to that, then I think that would cross over into signage and throw us into a different realm as far as the interpretation of that. So because of the generic nature of what is being depicted both in the artwork and in the words, I do not believe it would be classified or fall within the signage ordinance. Perhaps the better question would be, could we go to the artist and make them remove that? And I think you would have a hard time requiring the removal for the reason that it is so generic in the statement.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem, having reservations since the ordinance said that we cannot put it on a commercial building at this time. We need to rezone it. We don't want to, as he said, violate our own ordinance and putting it on there.
That's the same thing I was about to say. This one I don't think is ready at this point. I think it needs to be completed before it comes for us for approval.
Could we, thinking outside the box here, is there a way to make a motion to approve it with a caveat that it will not be hung, if they're willing to put it on a panel, that it will not be hung until the appropriate zoning is in place? And then if that does not occur, then it does not get hung. But it sounds like that will be done by the end of the year. Is that?
Yes.
That sounds like a workable solution.
Is there somebody from the Heart of High Springs, is that something you guys are willing to work with us on?
I think that's a reasonable solution. We were intending to paint it on panels anyways.
Oh, perfect.
So we'll go ahead and paint it, and then if you want to go ahead and approve it pending the zoning change, whenever that happens, we'll go through that process at that time, whatever needs to happen, and once it's approved, then we can apply it to the wall at that time.
I think when the motion is made on this, if it's approved, it should be approved contingent upon that zoning being put in place. Yeah, I'm gonna public comment.
Call for you.
Mm-hmm.
I might start crying. Let me tell you one thing. And I know he's looking down in heaven on us. And he doesn't care. Wes Giles was one of the best friends I ever had in my life. To this day, they're still family. And let me tell you, Wes Giles was not just local, county, state, or America well known. He did probably 10 or 12 movies. 2 of them movies was with National Geographic. Matter of fact, when he died with the riderless horse, I had all his gear, his tanks, his mask, everything that he had. A flipper where you turn the boots around backwards. We had the fins turned around backwards. I also made it. You go out there to Jennings Springs, you will see a sign in memory and honor him. I'm one of the main ones. I didn't do it by myself. Peacock Slough has been renamed. It is called now Wes Giles Peacock Slough. And another thing he did here, and when he did things around here, he did it on his time. He did a thing that was real dangerous. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't even let him took my picture in there. But he went down where the Santa Fe River goes down, and he went down all the way up there, and this is like 3 or 4 miles, and he had tanks where he could switch tanks, and came up where the river comes up. That's what kind of person West Kyle is. And if this place is a dive shop, if they're a business, I'm not trying to be, why isn't it commercial already? If it's a business, why is it working out of a residential place? You know? I'm for it there in West Giles. I know him good enough. He wouldn't want a big thing named after him. And another thing, the last thing there, this area right here is known as, you hear me now, listen real closely, the world cave diving capital of the world. I didn't say of the community, the state, or the county, or America is known as the world diving, cave diving capital of the world. So, and these people, my man just got up here. He spent all his time drawing all this stuff up here and all that. To me, y'all are being rude to them people that work their behind off to try to get things done. I'm still with you there, lawyer.
Madam Mayor, if I may respond, please, ma'am.
Yes, please.
The point I was trying to make about the cave diving generic mural was that based on the data that I could see, it's very limited data, there was much more interest in West Giles than there was in specific cave diving. I'm very, very familiar with what a pioneer he was. And I'm not in the least saying we should not celebrate him. My question was whether or not that was supposed to be West Giles, because my impression from the data that I see is that people were much more interested in him than they were just generic cave diving because of what he did for it.
All right, are we ready?
Question.
Okay.
So we got to be very careful when it comes to West Giles. I'm quite sure that name is some kind of trademark or whatever, so we can't get in no trouble. I may be wrong, but I know it's or his daughter, whoever. And also, Mr. Attorney, so with the motion is said at this time, from a legal standpoint, are we good?
You are. I think the contingency of, there's two things that help in this instance. One is it's going to be painted on panels, and the contingency is for the rezoning to occur as a contingency for this matter to be, and I understand the applicant said that that's a reasonable request of them. So yes.
All right, thank you.
So at this time, motions, please.
I will make a motion that we approve it with the caveat that it has to be zoned commercial before it is home.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that item Z23-3 be approved, contingent upon completion of zoning. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, we'll move on to item number 4, which is Muriel application Z23-4, agricultural Muriel for 19064 Northwest US Highway 441.
This is mural number 4, so agriculture. This is the submittal to us for the conceptual art of the colors, the concept of it. This one will be mounted on panels to preserve the masonry behind it. Slide number 2 is going to be location, so it's off of 441. And then the last slide will be the dimensions. And on this one, the Historic Preservation Board voted approval 4-1.
Okay. Commissioner comments?
Bring back memories. mess with the artist now. He looking down. He ain't listening to me.
Talking to somebody.
Mr. Artist. Doug. No, I'm just, you can say, I'm just gonna mess with you. I'm just gonna mess with you. This bring back memories. Now, I don't see nobody, some of y'all gonna know what I'm talking about when I'm about to say. I don't see nobody sucking this tobacco. I don't see nobody topping this tobacco. I don't see no sleds being filled. So, is that the true history of it? Just messing with you. just messing with you. Yeah.
You gotta have the new guy there getting sick over on the side too.
Who's that?
I said if you want to make it history,
Yeah.
the first week back in the fields, everybody would get sick and throw up.
Yeah.
Having all that tobacco thrown on them.
No, that's what you used to call, how they used to put it. Yogi got you, Boo Boo, one of them they used to say. Yogi Bear? The bear done got on your back?
Yogi.
Yogi. Since some of y'all folks don't know nothing about that, you folks from Yana, you just don't know. But this is, I'm trying to, now, so what is that in the back there? That's a barn, or what you got back there, buddy?
That's a barn, sir.
Guess I'm gonna have to give you a little piece of, okay. So that's supposed to be the tobacco barn?
So this was a rendering put forth early on to give an idea of what possibly could be there. The artist is actually currently working on a more watermelon-based mural. So that's kind of where he's gone. And there's actually an interesting story about the watermelon special trains. I don't know if you all know about those. We can talk about some of that. But yeah, it's still agriculture. It's still roots of agriculture.
So you saying they might change it to watermelons? That ain't High Springs. That isn't High Springs. That is not High Springs. That is not High Springs when it comes to agriculture. This was agriculture, tobacco. If you're out there where ThemeWorks, is it ThemeWorks? That used to be the tobacco barn. That's what they used to bring it in to sell it, and yes. So watermelons here, but it was nothing compared to tobacco. Everybody planted tobacco that had 20 or more acres. And I mean, that was African Americans, Caucasian, everyone. Living witness. Living witness.
So am I.
So, watermelons, whoever your artist is telling watermelons is not the way. Now this would be great, but watermelons, nah. They was here, but not like tobacco. That was my moment in history.
Yeah, that tobacco was the staple back then.
Yeah.
That's all we had.
Tobacco in the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Mayor, so is there any ability for back and forth in terms of the input that Commissioner Williams has given you here in terms of the tobacco? Because I think about peanuts too, because our peanut mill was a huge part of our history in terms of peanut M&Ms. They all came from High Springs.
Well, they didn't grow too
We
many
didn't. We grew them some, but not as much as tobacco, right?
Not as much as tobacco.
So is there a willingness to make modifications based on the input? Because I know that now we're stepping into the non-content neutral conversation here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We get mics for this. Okay, so we're constantly receiving feedback and making adjustments. So I took some notes on what you said tonight, and I will get with the artist on that, and we'll see what we can do, right? We've made some adjustments on pretty much all the murals based off of community feedback. There's been probably at least 4 or 5 rounds between artists and the local community and to get things as they should be best for the community. So your feedback with tobacco, I wrote a note. I'm gonna have a conversation about it.
In terms of the verbiage, I have one thing to say. I don't think it's advertising by any means, and I think it's appropriate to the picture here. My biggest concern is where it is and the distraction that it may be to drivers. Would it be possible for the picture to tell the story here, because there's a whole lot of traffic there, and without the words? Or could there be like a
Without those
small,
words there?
could there be a small box down at the bottom like you have on the diving one that would tell the story you're trying to tell that might not be as distracting? Just from a safety perspective, that concerns me a little bit at that intersection.
Okay.
Agriculture road is something. I don't see a problem with that. Problem with that.
Okay, where are we?
We still on this one. Is there any comments from the audience on this one?
Uh-oh. Yeah, we do. Let's go. That's my favorite part.
Well, you heard me say before, on my mama's side, we go back 8 generations. The worst whipping I ever got in my life, 2 whippings I got in my life, was over tobacco. Back, we had stick barns and all. You had to have somebody stay up at night and watch, because if a stick fell out on the burner and he turned it over, that was your livelihood. That's your money and your barn and all that going up. They said, okay, son, you think you're big enough? I'm like 5 years old. Can you watch the barn? And I said, yeah. Oh man, I get to watch the barn, you know, and all that. So I got out there, and so I sat there for a while and whittled with my knife, and I'd get up and run around the building, and about 3 o'clock that morning, I had all I could have. So I'm leaning up against the bar, and I was sleeping. Next thing I knew, he had his belt off, and he said, boy, I told you to watch the barn, not to be out here sleeping. And I couldn't sleep for 2 or 3 days. And then another time there, I was on the tractor. It was about the same age. And I'd pull up a little bit, and then I'd pull up a long way, and they were dropping tobacco. And so they said, why are y'all dropping the back? Well, he'll pull up a long ways, and then he'll just go short ways and all. And then we were stripping the stalks. He cut a stalk off, and he hit me so hard, he knocked me off the tractor, and I could shut it on a dime. Now, anyway, getting back to that barn right there, to me, when I seen the barn where they strung up the tobacco, the women strung up the tobacco, that's kind of like a barn that they had. Now, I'm not saying to do this, but you see the road that's coming down there? I think they need to put, the first wagons we had was on skidders. They wasn't on wheels, they were skidders. Put one of them wagons on there and put a mule or an old-timey tractor coming down there. And getting back to what he just said, my big thing after we were selling tobacco, we got to go down there to High Springs where they sell tobacco, and oh boy, that was our big time of the year. We dress up in our good clothes and all that, and we were out there selling the tobacco, and they had all kind of things, a dance and everything, man. It was, and like I have to agree that tobacco is what you need on there, because High Springs was a tobacco thing. You want to talk about watermelons? You need to go over there when you go to Newberry, and you can talk about the watermelons. So I think it's real good, but just add on there a mule and a wagon pulling or an old tractor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience? All right, are we ready for a motion?
We approve this based on the hope that it sticks with tobacco and that we eliminate the verbiage if possible, please, for safety.
Well, there's no second. All right, I guess it died. No second.
I would second it, but I don't think we can tell them to remove the verbiage.
I don't know why we have to remove the verbiage.
Am I correct in assuming that if we start, that goes into content?
I would rely on what I said in the last, unless there's some present danger that you can define or that it changes into a commercial signage, then I don't understand why you would be able to do that.
So we need a second motion? That one didn't go, nobody second.
Yeah. I make a motion, we approve application Z2304.
I second it.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that application Z2304 be approved for agriculture mural located at 19064 Northwest US Highway 441. All those in favor respond with aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
Right, motion carries 4-1. Okay, let's move to the next one, number 5. All right, mural application Z23-5, Santa Fe River mural at 18564 Northwest 238th.
This is mural number 5, so Santa Fe River. It's located over at the Air America building. It's right next door to the fire department. The proposed mural is to be located on the southern elevation, which will face the old railroad. And so on the third slide will be the measurements. So based on the submitted documents, this one is a little too large, which at the plan board meeting they did say they would take down that, that measurement so that it is compliant. And the Historic Preservation Board voted to recommend approval 4-1.
All right, commission comments?
Where you say the building located at? I can't make it out.
It's over there by the
Next to
library,
it, yeah.
across from the library.
If your library's at your back and you're facing the fire station, it's the building on the left.
Over there by the air conditioning place.
Oh, the air conditioner shop? Oh, okay. Okay, it won't never be seen.
No, because it's facing the railroad. Well, it used to be the railroad.
Yeah.
Any audience comments?
I'm all for this because when you say High Springs, you're talking about the Santa Fe River, And I haven't been against any one of them yet, and probably won't be against any one of them, but when you say High Springs, you're talking about the Santa Fe River. And at one time, Lena State Park used to be called Leno, and I had a great aunt that lived in Fort White, and at that time, this was like in the 1890s, early 1890s, they had, everything was used to bring products using the Santa Fe River. And they shut down Leno back when they put the railroad came in there, and then High Springs became thriving. But I think we need to keep Santa Fe River in there too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve Z2305.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that application Z2305 be approved for the Santa Fe mural at 18564 Northwest 238th Street. All those in favor respond with aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, moving to the next one. Application number 6, the Old Bellamy Road mural located at 18767 Main Street.
Mural number 6, Old Bellamy Road. This is located at Thompson's Flower Shop. On the second slide, you'll see which elevation it is, so it'll be facing towards the bank on the north side. The third slide is the measurements, which are compliant with our code, and at Historic Preservation, they voted to approve 4-1.
Madam Mayor, I have a question for the artist. How closely do you think this is going to depict what's actually going to go on the wall? How closely do you think what's up here that we're seeing is going to match what's the actual installation?
The latest rendering that I saw from the artist has a map of the Old Bellamy Road, which there's a map up there, and it has several images of the road, which we have up there. The lettering, they're a better lettering artist than myself, so it's a little bit more appealing than my real quick brush script there.
So you think it'll be pretty close to what's here?
I mean, the elements are there.
Okay.
Any other comments, concerns from the commissioners? Audience?
Well, we gotta keep the Old Bellamy Road in there too. 'Cause that's the oldest road in Florida. The Old Bellamy Road is the oldest road in Florida. I like the idea about the Old Bellamy Road being put in there and stuff like that, but, it could have a little work on it, but, hey, as long as the Old Bellamy Road, the oldest road in Florida, it needs to be part of High Springs.
That's right.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Motion, please.
I make a motion, we approve Z 2306.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that application Z 2306 be approved. Those in favor, respond with aye, please. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, application carries 5-0 for 18767 Main Street. Next one is item number 7 for the Florida Cowboy Mural for 23074 Northwest 186th Avenue. Yes.
I might have lost. There we go. Mural number 7, Florida Cowboys. So this one's located at the Duke Energy Building. It's on the southern elevation. And on the third slide will be the dimensions, which based on what was submitted was a little large, but the applicant did say that they would put it down a little so that it was compliant. So that was talked about at the historic board. This one was recommended approval under the condition that they revise and have the words in the same type of format as the other murals with a painted small plaque to the side, and the vote was 3-2. The version that they reviewed did have different verbiage on it, so this is the changed version.
Did you say they have to do a further change?
I said that this was this is their updated version, so this isn't the version that the Historic Preservation Board saw. This has different words on it.
Oh, okay, so it's okay the way it is to go?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good. I'm glad y'all changed the verbiage on that, because the other one was a little bit offensive. I thought it would be offensive to different people.
Audience? No comments?
Somebody get pictures. Somebody get Bruce pictures all of them. He can say, okay, I approve all of them, and he can have to keep getting up.
know what it was on there, and it might offend some people. I can understand that. But, it is not there. I've probably got more black friends than I do white friends. But, I know what was on there, because I asked a guy. They had Florida Cracker Cowboy on there instead of Florida Cowboy. And I agree with you, even being a member of the Florida Cracker Cowboy Association, that might offend somebody, you know? So I think they should, it's beautiful right there. And see there, the thing about, you see that cowboy up there? That's an old kind of cowboy. You ain't got no drugstore cowboy up there in the picture.
Drugstore
You know?
cowboy.
So anyway, and that'll help us out, preacher, also on Pioneer Day. Thank you.
All right.
Correct you on something on Bruce. Not only would it be offensive to African Americans, it may be offensive to some Caucasians because it was an insulting word towards them also. And I'm not going to go into the history of it, but thank you.
Anyone else have comments from the audience? If
Madam
not-
Mayor, can I make a suggestion if they would consider this? And, I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one who's noticed this, and respectfully, Madam Mayor and Commissioner Williams, there isn't a single mural in this packet that celebrates African Americans in our history, and I'm very disappointed in that. And this particular mural is the closest one to our historic Douglas neighborhood. I would like to request, if possible, I think the picture itself, the painting is beautiful. You know, the landscape is gorgeous, but I would really appreciate it if you would consider taking the whip out of the cowboy's hand. I realize that as a cracker cowboy, that was a big part of how he did his job, but I don't like the message that people might convey. This is the first one they're going to see coming into town. I love the landscape. The cowboy's beautiful. The horse is beautiful. He's got a dog like all cowboys should. But I would really appreciate it if you consider taking the whip out of the installation.
All right, if no more comments, motion, please. Bruce, please come to the mic.
I can see taking the whip out, but the whip does not have nothing to do with them beating black people at all. They used the whip to move the cows. That's why they had the whip. That's why they popped the whip to move the cows. And but again, preacher, I can see your point. Take it out, and it won't bother me. But just wanted the thing to know that the whip does not represent beating black people. It represents that's how they used to move the cows.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we approve Z2307.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that application Z 2307 be approved for the cowboy mural. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
All right, motion carries 4-1. Right, item number 8, application Z 23-8, Priest Theater mural. And we all know where Priest Theater is.
So this one is
Commissioners.
mural number 8, Priest Theater. So it's not actually on the Priest Theater, it's just of the Priest Theater. So it is next door at the what is going to be Prohibition Pizza. So it is on the southern elevation facing 185th Road. And then on the third slide is the measurements of it, which is meeting our code. At the Historic Preservation Board, they did vote to approve 4-1.
Thank you.
Okay, go back to the picture. No, one I see here. It's different.
You're one ahead.
I'm on 8. Okay, not bad. Okay.
Got it? Okay,
I
comments
still
on that?
can't see what it is. Says something.
Can anyone read that? Do they know what it says?
So this is a rendering of what a mural would look like in the space at that size. We were early in the process, so this is not intended to be exactly what you're going to see in the end. This is actually, I think, originated a poster advertisement for an actual physical theater.
So what we're seeing there is not representative at all of what will be there?
I wouldn't say at all. The content there is not the same content that's currently being worked. They're focusing more on the movie theater.
So it's not going to look like this at all, right? I mean, it'll be a theater, I get what you're
The
saying,
mural's going to be that size and that space.
that size and that space, but the
Yeah.
content will be something completely different.
It's going to be of the Priest Theater, not the Riviera Theater.
Okay, that was confusing
Okay.
me. All right, now you're speaking my language now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know of a Riviera Theater in
Ah.
High Springs. There might be one.
Nah, I don't
Learned
We
about
didn't
the
know it
Speedway.
either.
Only 2 theaters in High Spring, that one in the drive-in theater.
Yeah. Beer theater. All right. Audience comments?
Well, out of all of them, that's the one that dearest to my heart. And I was worried about, you hear me over there, Mr. Assistant Manager? I was worried about them putting that on the theater that they're gonna redo. But I'm okay with everything since it's not gonna be on there to take from the historical side of the theater. But to me, out of all of them, that's the dearest to my heart there. And I remember many a time watching, eating popcorn, and they used to put a penny into the little thing and turn on the knob and get candy out of it, you know? And then you could get a drink back then for like 3 and 5 cents, you know? So anyway, that's all I got to say on that.
Thank you. You're going to tell your age in a minute, Bruce.
You just did.
Hi, Kelly Potter, owner of Prohibition Pizza.
All right.
First of all, I want to thank the Heart of High Springs. When we were talking and approached originally, I actually sent some ideas of what I felt should be represented, and they actually secured the artist that is quite fabulous, and I wish that you actually had the rendering of what he's come up with, because it's phenomenal. But the only thing that I do propose to add, which our building originally was also the Herald, is that it would be nice if it could include with the honoring the theater, but also to honor the Herald as maybe a magazine inlay or something on the building as well, so that it keeps that history of that building alive as well. And that's the only addition that I would, I guess, ask for that. But thank you guys for spending so much time on it, because what we have coming there is pretty cool that you guys are working on, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, if I may, please. Mr. Hancock, as you've already heard, this is something that's incredibly important to the people in this community. I hope, with all I've got, that we can keep the Priest Theater, because, I mean, you don't live here, you may or may not have gone to the Priest Theater, but I did, and I dropped my kids there. And I'd like to make a specific request if possible. I don't know if you've spoken to the Allagoods or not about what they'd like to see. But if there's a way you could incorporate Mrs. Sheffield's face into that mural in the ticket office, I would really appreciate that.
And the Priest Theater go much deeper than the Sheffields. much, much deeper than the
It
Sheffield's.
does.
Much, much deeper than the Sheffield. I can hear Mr. Cooper coming up the steps now.
Yeah.
The Coopers, I mean, the Sheffield, they pretty much took over the last several years. And I think before Mr. Cooper was there, I can't remember the family name.
I don't know right now, it's minute
I think it was the priest or something like that. Their name was too. But yeah, I got respect for Miss Sheffield, but it goes much, much deeper.
Long before the
Miss
Sheffield.
Sheffield,
Mhm.
much deeper. From my recollections, back in my days, it was Mr. Cooper.
Any other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
The alligator wasn't even born back then. And when I was a little boy, I don't even believe the Sheffields had anything to do. What was his name you just said?
Mr. Cooper.
Cooper, yeah. And let me tell you what, I admired Allie Goods. And I admire that man right over there for him wanting to save the Priest Theater. And all that. Allie Goods is a good family. Some of the best friends I got. The Sheffields has always been good to the community. But the Priest Theater, and y'all, if they do anything about it now, because I've already told the fire chief and the assistant manager there, the theater goes back to like 1884. True, they built the Priest Theater in 1910 where it's at. Before it was even the High Springs, they had a theater, the Priest Theater people. Thank you.
All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve Z 2308.
It's been properly moved and second that application Z 2308 be approved for the Priest Theater mural. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next one is item 9, Z 2309. And what's that word? How you say it? All right. Located at 18578 Northwest 237th Street.
Mural number 9, Tim McCoon's. This one is located on the eastern elevation facing 237th. It could be interpreted to be the primary facade because that is what faces the street. However, we do have in the ordinance a way for you all to approve things that are on facades, primary facades. So that's an item for you all to look at. And then on slide 3, we have the measurements, which are they are consistent with the code for that. So, and on this one, it was voted 3-2 contingent on us receiving the approval from the owner of the parcel, because at that time we did not have their signature. So it has since been submitted to our office.
The application is now complete.
If I'm wrong, but there is not a door on this side that's being used. And so that's why one of the reasons why I think the plan board was okay with considering it not the primary facade.
So somebody explain to me what this in reference. I can't make it out. What is the people sitting? What?
Native Americans.
Native Americans. I kind of thought so. I just wanted to hear it. With that being said, I'm a little disappointed. These murals supposed to represent the community of High Springs, and as Miss Commissioner has said, other African Americans not represented in these murals at all since we went through all of them, and was under the assumption when y'all first presented this that you was gonna put murals. I know he's gonna focus on the downtown, but you said there might be a possibility we can put one at Catherine L. Taylor Park with the board. You make them put one over at Walter Howard Park of African Americans. But we went through all of these. I don't see nowhere. I'm very, very disappointed where African Americans are not represented, and we are a part of this community. Always have, and always will be. I'm very, very, very disappointed. I mean, disappointed.
Commissioner Williams, there is another mural that's being done on a panel downtown during the event that is not in this package. And the reason it's not in this package is we brought it to this commission, and we asked for permission to put that mural with Essie Gassett and Tom Diedemann on the old school center, and the commission decided that a public building was not a place that we should do that. Based on that conversation and that outcome, we made a decision to go ahead and go forward with doing that mural in the hopes that we will find the right location for that after the mural is done. And so those are being done on panels at the same time as this event, but because we have no place to put them, we did not put them in the mural packet. My understanding, or my conclusion, I guess, would be, since we were told we could not put them on public buildings, we did not come back and ask to put them over in Catherine Taylor Park or over in the other park, because we were told that public property was not a place that we could put murals. So we made a decision.
Let me stop you right there. Slow your roll. The place where you will put the mural don't belong to the city.
On which property, sir?
On Mount Carmel United Methodist Church.
Okay, so that, we made the decision because we had to make a decision whether we were going forward with those murals or not. We made the decision to put them on panels and find the right location for them when they were done, in the hopes that we would find the location that would be appropriate. We wanted to make sure that those two civic leaders were honored, and that was the decision that we made. We didn't have any more time to try to seek the right location, and we knew that once the murals were done and you saw the quality of the murals, we would be able to find a location that would be appropriate. And one of the things we had talked about was to go to the school board, but we didn't have time to do that. The time process to go through that was not going to work, so we moved forward with making the decision to do the murals. There is a mural of Miss Essie Gassett and Tom Giedemann, and the other African-American topics that were on that list did not get as many votes, and so that is where our data came from. So that is, there are two more murals that are not in this packet, because at this time we have not sure where we're going to mount them, and at whatever time that they get a permanent home, we will come back to this commission or to the historic board and this commission for the mural mural application for permission to mount those murals.
Yeah, and see, and that's another problem. You know, I know you say you had your meetings, but you really, really, really didn't have no dialogue with African American community for what they would like to see. Now, you said Miss Essie Gassett. Yes, Miss Essie Gassett was my kindergarten teacher, but African American history is much larger than Miss Gassett. Some of the first African Americans that was in this town worked on the railroad. That would be an awesome mural to depict of African Americans, because that's from back in the days. I must say the population with African Americans was over 30% of men that came to this city to work on the railroad. Now that would depict some of your biggest farmers in this area was African Americans, had 40 acres and more. Her grandfather was one of the biggest farmers in this area. The Masons were some of the biggest farmers in this area. The Taylors were some of the biggest farmers in this area. Don't get me wrong, I love Miss Gassett, before she passed, I was a pastor. But I think African American history go further than just Miss Essie Gassett. That's why I have one of the biggest problems with this. When I said this at the beginning, there was not enough dialogue with the community. And when I say the community, that means everyone. So if we had had that dialogue with the African American community, you guys would have knew that. But you didn't have that dialogue.
Respectfully, sir, I asked, other people asked, many different people. We faced much adversity in the collection of gathering historical content, and we were a group of volunteers with a limited amount of time and resources. And if someone did not want to come back to us and work with us, we could not continue to keep asking. So I know that there was a great deal of energy expanded, and on many fronts, we did not get follow-up, and so the volunteers that gathered the information did the best that we could, and we are just volunteers. So I appreciate and understand your frustration. Our frustration was very challenging in trying to get pieces of information within the community. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams, if I may follow up on your comment. Ms. Lavin, the data that I had presented, obviously you guys know I'm a data guy. And the number of likes that Ms. Gassett's presentation had on Facebook had the exact same number of likes as the Wild Cows and Crackers one, based on the data I can see. I think Freddie Hickman, Franklin Williams, had more likes in your Facebook interface than at least 3 of the ones that you're putting up. And I think that where the Wild Crackers and Cowboys are would be a fabulous place to have a Lily Springs one, as Commissioner Williams asked for the last time you were here. That helps to celebrate their community, and it's really important. I had no idea what the history was of Lily Springs. We've got the Santa Fe River. Yes, it's very important. Absolutely, I love the Santa Fe River. Why couldn't that one have been Lily Springs? Or why couldn't Lily Springs have gone over closer to the Douglas neighborhood? And why couldn't the one that you're doing of Pop Diedemann and Miss Gassett go on somebody's wall instead? Could it not replace one of the ones that are going up on the walls if you've already got the artwork ready? Is that not a possibility to help make everybody here feel included?
So after I was brought to my attention about Lily Springs, I reached out to Commissioner Williams. I reached out to, I spoke with Mr. Durer, reached out to a couple other members of the community trying to find pictures that would be representative of the Lily Springs, and nobody has any. Nobody can give me that information. And so I can't come up with pictures that nobody has or is willing to give. So when we've been asked to do that, we have done that. But again, respectfully, the follow-through with us trying to get the history it's just not always been good, and we have limited time and resources as volunteers. And yes, we could put Ms. Gassett on the side of that building, but there was a whole formula that was, is it the right place, to honor whatever this particular topic is, the right size of the wall? There was much more to choosing the walls than that, and we personally wanted to honor those 2 individuals in a place that was public, and they both had governmental service. And so again, I say to you, after you made the decision that we could not move forward at the old school, we chose to move forward with the murals. They will be done at the same time, and we will find a permanent home for them that's going to be the right location. So that was the decision that we made, given the facts and the information that we had.
I agree with you. You said it's true. You did reach out at the last minute. about Little Springs out there. I mentioned Little Spring. If the African American community had been involved at the beginning, you would have knew about Little Springs. And most African Americans would have probably wanted Miss Catherine L. Taylor on there than anyone, because she played a part in this community like no one else. I mean, no one else, not Freddie Hickman, but she never sit up here. But she was a leader in this community and was respected throughout this community, and the African American community, even the Caucasian community. Even back in the days, Caucasians called Miss Taylor, because she had that type of influence. She had that kind of facade about her. So she was Miss Taylor. So that's why, I'll say it again, it just wasn't enough dialogue when it came to this, your decisions. Not angry, but just want to express that. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. It wasn't there.
Commissioner Williams, if I could, the Heart of High Springs signed a contract with the Wall Dogs in 2019. I know that this has been worked on for a long time, and the outreach was whatever the outreach was. I know that there was a lot on Facebook, and I know Mayor James doesn't have Facebook, and thankfully neither does my 15-year-old, thanks to her recommendation. I appreciate that. A lot of the social media outreach is effective for the younger community, but it's not as effective for those of us who are not as big a fan of social media. And like I said, based on what I could see, the overall response to the survey on Facebook adds up to, in terms of the murals that you're putting up, 0.15% of the population. So we can't say that this is a community event. We can say that you are legally absolutely allowed to do this. We cannot prevent it. I have no interest in preventing it. But I would like to make a specific request, Mr. Hancock, if you're able to make this happen on the Wall Dogs Dive into High Springs website. It says on that website, what is a Wall Dog event? And it says in their annual Wall Dog event, artists are invited by a community to paint beautiful murals on buildings. The paintings have local historic significance. I agree. The mural themes are selected by the community. With respect to Commissioner Williams' comments, I disagree with that, and with the fact that all I can see is less than 0.2% of the public participating in what you're choosing. I'd ask that you modify that verbiage just to make sure that it's clear that this is a Heart of High Springs initiative and it's not a City of High Springs initiative. And it says, why are the Wall Dogs coming to town? Because we have no choice. I mean, the community input that I've had overwhelmingly doesn't want that. I think that these murals are beautiful. I think the artwork is impressive, but I think the community at large does not want it. I have no interest in preventing you because, it's free speech. It's compelled free speech, but it's free speech. So I would ask if you could please, in the Wall Dogs Dive into High Springs website, just modify the verbiage so that it's very clear that this is not being funded by the city. It is not being prevented by the city by any means, but this is a Heart of High Springs initiative and not a community initiative. If you could, please, I would really appreciate that. And I echo Commissioner Williams' comment. I don't think, with this been going on for 4 years, and now that we're at the finishing line here, I'm profoundly disappointed that the African American community is not represented here, and there's so much rich history there, and I wish we could have done that. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I think this actually brings up I think this is a good thing. And I think it's a good thing because I think we're gonna get to start a dialogue that maybe we didn't have previously. And we're gonna get to bring everybody back together in order to have that dialogue, because I agree with Commissioner Williams. I will say that I don't think you need to change anything content-wise on your website. I will tell you that you are welcome from me and from a lot of the people that I've talked to. A lot of those, I don't think Facebook's a great place to find any type of data that we're gonna use in here. Just, I don't know if you guys have seen what's on Facebook lately, but you can pretty much put anything on there. So if people are upset with the murals and upset with these things, I would love for them to be here, standing up and telling us this. Everybody I've talked to seems to be very happy about this. I do agree that there could be better ways to have those conversations in order to get better ideas and understanding of what the community wants. I think a lot of it, though, is up there. Are we missing things? Absolutely. There are only, what, 10 murals at this time that they're talking about putting up, and they have other ones that don't have a home yet. I must admit, I'm not in love with this one, but you know, maybe this one could be changed. I'm not sure if that's even a possibility. I don't know, but maybe we could have that dialogue and maybe put something together. I don't know how would we do that or what that would look like in order to make sure everybody feels like their voice is included and whatnot. So I don't know, but I'm glad that although it might be uncomfortable sometimes, I'm glad we're at least having the conversation and that everybody's willing to have that conversation. So I think it's a good thing, and I'm glad they're coming.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Tina Corbett. As you know, I'm the owner of Lanza Gallery and Art Supplies, and I am a local artist. And Mr. Williams, I'd like to apologize because I did actually was one of the first, the beginning. I worked with them in the beginning for the historical content, went to Matheson House and investigated all kinds of things. And we did have some African-American topics on there. I don't think we were able to find more. I backed out after I got all the information. Because of my constraints with my store and my art career, my family, I didn't continue to follow up. But they were on the list. It just, I don't know how they just kind of fell away. Maybe we didn't get enough information or no pictures. We couldn't find any pictures. On that said, again, I apologize because it was really important point in the beginning that we were completely representative of all the people of High Springs. And Ms. Wirtz, how do you say your last name?
Whites, like the
Whites,
whites
Ms.
of your
Whites,
eyes.
Addressing what you had said about no support toward this, as a person who just had their whole social media hacked, let me just say that Facebook is representative of a few people who are extremely loud. There's a lot of people behind the scenes who do support it. I've heard it with my business in town that will not be voicing their opinion on Facebook, will not be publicly coming out and saying this because of the repercussions of very negative voices and the threat of a problem. We all know it got pretty heated. My husband was concerned about me coming to these meetings, So with that being said, a lot of people are not going to come out and say, hey, I really want these murals because there was so much controversy. The fact is they raised over $90,000 for these murals with no fundraising. That means there was support somewhere. The dollar amount shows it. So we didn't have to go to the city. We didn't have to go anywhere. It just, people donated. They came out of the woodwork, especially after all that Facebook negativity. People came to them and gave them money. There was no pie sales or anything else to raise money because in the beginning there was talk that we would have to do that, do fundraisers. And we never had to do that. So in that fact, I just want to address what you were saying, that there are a lot of support that maybe not will say it to you because you have opposite opinions. On that being said, being an artist in the local community, and I know I don't look it, but I'm half Puerto Rican. My mother was Puerto Rican, so I understand diversity. I have people in my family that are diverse, and I will work on those things. Thank you.
You're welcome. And, see, and that goes back to what she said. She Madison Museum. I have a picture right here.
Beautiful picture.
With African Americans and Caucasians going to the tobacco warehouse. If someone had asked the people that have these pictures, you would have them. But no one axed into the last minute. You know, don't get me wrong now with the Native Americans. My grandmother was a Seminole, great-grandmother was Seminole. I have no problem with them, but after I went through all these things, then I seen that, and I say, come on, you representing the Native Americans, but you're not representing African Americans? Something wrong with that picture. Something wrong with that picture.
If I could respond to you, I have no personal opposition to this whatsoever. If you look down the street at the mural that I know the Heart of High Springs took a picture of, and you see the mural of Mr. Duncan down there, that mural was the inception, the commission, the installation, and the adoration of that mural is 100% organic. That's High Springs. That's celebrating something that's really important. And before that was put up there, Mr. Duncan's widow Andrew went to her and said, hey, I'd like to do this to honor Mr. Duncan. Would that be okay with you? She loves it. That's an organic mural. These are not organic. They're being forced on us. And I think that the art is it's very pretty. The installation across the street, that took incredible artistic talent to put that up there, and I admire it. Whether I like the art or not is immaterial. My opinion is immaterial. The fact that this has been going on since 2019, you know, I mean, I appreciate that there's a lot of volunteers, and I'm certain you guys have put in a lot of hours. And the only data I have available to me is what's on Facebook because I haven't gotten the metadata. You had a survey out there. I saw the survey. I would love to know how many people actually responded to that survey. You know, if it were 10% of the community, that would amaze me, because that to me says the community really wants this. What I have available to me says they do not, and the input that I've had says that I do not. Commissioner Grunder wasn't here when we had our workshop at the Civic Center. He didn't see when you walked in the door that the law enforcement officers were triangulated pretty quick, pretty closely. They were there for a reason. There was a lot of people that spoke at that meeting. And at the end of the day, I think they all realized it wasn't going to matter. But they still came to voice their opinion, and they're just kind of worn out. So I have no opposition to this art. I have no opposition to the idea of telling your history. But if you're going to want to tell the history, get an oral history first. Talk to Miss Billy about her husband, who was a dentist here. He was the first Eagle Scout out of Troop 69. Talk to the people who have been here for a long time. That oral history and the picture that Commissioner Williams just showed me, that's an amazing picture. And I think that information is there. And I think Commissioner Williams could probably point you in the right direction, but the conversations were maybe not being had as much out in the open as you may think they were. Thank you.
Well, you got nine things on here. And every one of them has to do with African Americans. Did you hear what I said? Every one of them. I even knew a black cave diver. Did you hear what I just said? A black cave diver. Now, let's get back to farming. When we grew tobacco, you know who worked? 99% that worked for us. Madam Mayor, can you answer that question? 99% of our workers were African Americans, black people. Mm-hmm. It's true what the preacher said. When the railroad came in here, black people. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, even getting back to the cowboy, black cowboys brought cows in. And it even goes back to what were they called, a cracker cowboy? The Civil War, they moved cows, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think they should have part in all 9 of them. I'm gonna have to speak on the Indians now, because I have to go home tonight, and my wife's almost half Cherokee Indian. And I've got a picture of a true black Seminole in his family. You were talking about the Duncans and all that. Do you know the oldest funeral home in America? Do you know who owns the oldest funeral home in America? And they came to Gainesville, Florida in 1850 from South Carolina. You know, can you answer that? The oldest funeral home in America?
No, sir, I cannot.
It's Chestnut's Funeral Home. You know, good friend of mine. And a lot of people don't know, and it doesn't matter. They got talking about nepotism and all that. They're way, way off cousins. That preacher right there, that chief of police over there are cousins, way, way off. And one time, they tried to keep that good man over there from being the chief because they said he was kin to the preacher, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, preacher, I'm behind you, not 100%, 1,000%. If you can get your church to put the mirror on there, and I think they should cover all 9 of these of African Americans. And there's nobody on this committee up here that is against that. No one of them. And like that lady said, like he's already said, these was all volunteers. And my last thing there, just give me 10 more seconds.
Okay, 10 more seconds.
Okay. Look here. See Ross up there? See the Madam Mayor, Miss James? See Byron Williams? See Mr. Grunder over there? That is High Springs. They were born and raised here. They didn't just fall off the turnip truck as it was coming through here. Have a good day. And thank all the city employees back there. And when it comes to black people and chiefs,
Oh,
they're right there getting more.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
I got to correct you, Bruce. You're my friend, Bruce. You're my friend, but I got to correct you. I got to correct you. Ross is not from High Springs.
Yeah, but I've been taking it as a compliment.
He's not from High Springs.
I moved here because of Wes Skiles to work for him, if that counts for anything.
And
Wes Skiles.
And I'm gonna say something else to you, Bruce. Kind of watch yourself when you speak about certain things. First, you was talking about 90% of the people that worked for your daddy was African Americans. I kind of be careful about those type of conversations. True enough, but everybody didn't treat them right, and they're on their farm. Let me finish. So be very careful. Don't brag on that too much, because it may offend some people. Just be very, very careful, because I know of some where they worked on some of those people's farms, and then once they finished loading their wagons and their barns, they wouldn't pay them. So kind of be very careful when you brag on that type of stuff. Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
She was trying to say something.
I was one of those people that did not want to speak an opinion on Facebook. I had very much had one, but as a new business owner, I was worried about doing so. But one of the things that I saw in Preacher Williams, the information, there was a call at one point on Facebook for people were saying, whatever you do, do not give these people photos, do not provide any history of the town. They're just trying to use it for the murals. But here would be a great opportunity. I love your idea. I mean, you have a beautiful, right near the railroad park, or right near where the train was, and have that opportunity to put something there. Absolutely, that would be a fantastic location for it. but the information needed to be provided. And at one point on Facebook, there was a call for them to withhold that information from the Heart of High Springs to put a kibosh to the murals by a small group of people. So I agree that, yes, if there was more research done and if people would have provided more information, perhaps there could have been an opportunity to have something really phenomenal. And maybe this is an opportunity because the location is fabulous. This street is becoming the new Main Street. And I just saying I agree with you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I have a question for the city attorney. Are they allowed to change content just on any of the murals? Since everything's supposed to be content neutral, as long as they stay in the parameters of what
No,
they've
I
given
think
us?
these are supposed to be concept-based permits. And so it needs to be similar to what is being permitted. Now, you can come back and amend your permits, or you could seek other permits and that sort of thing, but they should be representative of what's going up on the wall.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be exact, doesn't have to be the specifics, but should be within that concept.
Okay. It's been a long time coming, but I'm gonna finally ask for more.
Okay. Based on the application meeting the requirements of the ordinance, I make a motion, we approve Z 2309.
Second.
Right, it's been properly moved and seconded that application 09 be approved. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Next is item number 10. Discuss, consider, and act on awarding bid for Phase 2 road repair and replacement to Live Oak Management Group. That's this right here.
Good evening. As we talked before, we came in under budget on Phase 1 on the roads. So we were trying to move forward for Phase 2 since we had the extra money left over. So as you see on the screen, thank you. These are the roads that was proposed to the commission to move forward to put out the bid. And Live Oak Management is the one that came in the less expensive. This is a good firm. I've worked with them before also. They do really good work, and I talked to them this morning. If this gets passed by the commission, they said they'll be in here within a month, probably middle of next month, basically. The roads on phase 1, as you know, they have started. They were supposed to pave today, but the asphalt plant broke down. So hopefully Monday they'll be having asphalt. Just to give you a little heads up. Do you have any questions on the areas?
Boxcar Court.
Yes.
That's a great one. Man.
So the total between Phase 1 and Phase 2, we're within the amount that was originally budgeted. And Diane, when do we start getting payments from the county for the new tax that was? Okay. But that starts this fiscal year, correct? January 1, okay. All right.
Any other comments up here? Audience comments? Well, I say let's move forward.
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve the funds for Phase 2, and I appreciate that we're operating from the survey of streets and inventory that you did and moving strategically in how we do this. Thank you.
Very good.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that the award for Phase 2 be approved. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 5-0. All right, let's go to number 11. Discussion and direction on county's new wild spaces, public spaces, and infrastructure sales tax, surtax.
Mayor, may I go ahead and explain it a little bit, what's going on here?
Yes.
Okay, so as y'all are probably all aware, a new tax was passed this November at the county level impacting all cities. Half of it was to continue wild spaces, public places, and another half was on, in the ordinance they term it other infrastructure, and you can use it for a number of things, including streets and housing and a fire, a number of different things left up to each city. Well, as part of that, the county, as part of the ordinance, the county has agreed to provide a grant program to the 9 cities in Alachua County. The grant program consists of $6 million for wild spaces, public places, and $6 million for the other infrastructure, other half-cent sales tax. Of that, in the ordinance, $3 million for wild spaces, public places, and $3 million for the other infrastructure half-cent goes right off the top to Gainesville. And so the county tasked the cities with the other $3 million for the cities to decide how the other $3 million would be distributed for wild spaces, public places, and for the other infrastructure. The city managers had a lot of discussions at our city managers lunch. It was discussed at the Alachua County League of Cities several times. In a previous meeting, and the mayor can talk to this as well, it was voted that the money would be split, that we would recommend to the county, the cities, that the money would be split equally between the 8 cities. The thought being that the 9th city, Gainesville, was already getting $3 million off the top. So that would be for $3 million on both sides of the tax. So the city of Gainesville didn't like that idea and sent a letter obviously wanting it based off population for the other $3 million. So at the last Alachua County League of Cities meeting, there was a resolution that has been distributed that the cities need to go back and pass, and each city saying how they want the money split. So basically, the discussion at the meeting went towards 2 types of splits. The sheet before you goes over the different splits. The first one's having to do with population and what the numbers would be. The small cities, the 8 small cities, lean towards number 4 or number 5. Number 4 is the money is being split 9 ways. So Gainesville would get an equal amount of others as the other cities, but not more. And the other split is 8 ways, leaving Gainesville out and the other 8 cities getting equal splits. If it was distributed another way, the smaller cities didn't think it was fair because it leaves several of the small cities like Micanopy and La Crosse and others not even getting $100,000, which isn't even enough to do a project. So Alachua, Newberry, and High Springs would lose a little bit of money to our neighbors, but we thought that it was the fair thing and right thing to do. So now before you, staff is asking for direction on how you would like to move forward, and so we can bring a resolution back to you at the next meeting.
Go ahead.
I'm leaning towards the proposals that exclude Gainesville.
Well,
I mean,
agreed.
That's what everybody wants.
But are they going to go?
But I don't think they from my understanding, they don't have to. The county will go with whatever the smaller cities decide, and if Gainesville's the only no vote, they're going to go that way. Gainesville is at the point where they need to understand they're not the eldest child that deserves the preferential treatment at the detriment to the smaller communities. And the way this was set up by the county originally, Gainesville is getting way more than its fair share, and it doesn't account for the fact that Gainesville's workforce comes from the smaller communities, that a lot of the workforce that supports a lot of Gainesville can't afford to live in Gainesville, and that's why they live outside of the area, so they're traveling on our roads and everything else. And we have the worst roads of any county. I work in 11 counties with my business. We have the worst roads. If we just continue to do what we're doing, we're foolish. Because so far how we've distributed the money hasn't worked equitably and hasn't resulted in improvements in the rural areas. And I think, you know, for the dollars we're talking about, you know, they talk about spending $30 million on a downtown redevelopment plan for the city of Gainesville using county money as well. I just saw a presentation on that at a TDC meeting. And, you know, we're talking about $375,000, you know, and out of their whole budget, they're losing $3 million. I just, you know, and same thing for Micanopy and Hawthorne and La Crosse. It's like, let's set the example. Maybe Gainesville should be willing to give up a little more. So if we're willing to give up a few, you know, $20,000 over the formula or $30,000 over the formula to help the smaller cities, I'm for setting that example.
I do want to add one more thing, and I do agree with you, but I wanted to add one more thing that I forgot. So if the cities don't come up with an agreement, all 9, then what has been said thus far is that we could end up all having to enter into a competitive grant situation, and that means there might be winners and losers. So I just wanted to throw that out there as extra information.
Okay, so now you're saying all 9 cities have to agree?
Yeah, but the county can still come back and they can change that. At the last city managers meeting, there was a comment made by one person that maybe they would consider just going with number 4, but they weren't leaning with number 5.
And so now, let's be realistic here now. Let's be realistic here now. Do you actually think the city of Gainesville gonna tell you, no, I don't want this, although they don't need it? But from a realistic standpoint, do you really think Gainesville gonna agree with that?
Well, if it's gonna require all 9 to agree, which is
Right.
new information to me, because I had 2 county commissioners say that if Gainesville was the only no, they would support the smaller cities. Now, if that's not the case anymore, then I understand exactly what you're saying, is that it would be foolish to go that way and end up having to be in a competitive bid situation.
Yeah.
There's been both being said at meetings. So, I mean, there was the latest at the last Alachua County League of Cities was we could enter a competitive bid. At the city managers luncheon, it was, if, you know, they might all agree to number 4. But again, you know, anything is possible. I'm just telling you how they started, what they all said to us.
Because see, when I'm looking at this, so this is a lot we count. So some of these taxes come from the residents of Gainesville also, right?
Well, this is all the county money that the county gets from the tax that they're giving.
Right. And Gainesville is a part.
Yeah, it's the county tax that we all pay.
Okay. So now with that being said, Mr. Attorney, and now if I was the city attorney and y'all bought this before me, I'm gonna fight like I'm trying to save somebody from, I'm just trying to be realistic. They're not going. I just can't see Gainesville saying, no, I don't want that money. I can't see them agreeing to it. And then this way, with the number 4, this is just me speaking, everybody get a piece of the pie.
Number 4. So just for clarification, number 4 would mean that all the cities get $333,000. Number 5 is all the cities get $375,000, excluding Gainesville.
What's the difference between 335 and?
Point of clarification, if I could here, Ashley.
Yes.
The total of the funds is $12 million.
Right, and so
$12 million. Gainesville gets $6 million off the top right away.
Right.
We're talking about the other $6 million.
Right.
And how to split it.
Right.
So they get the first 50%, and they still want more.
Right. Just a
right.
Yes.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. They're going to fight for everything. But when the assistant county manager was here in Chambers, and I clarified, so based on all of this money, we're going to get approximately this, which was almost nothing. You can't do a project for $90,000 or whatever. I think that I agree with Commissioner Williams that Gainesville's going to kick and scream for everything that they can get. They're already getting 50%. I think the other 50% should be shared equally among the other 8. I think that if we tried distributing that by population, that would be really unfair to La Crosse, Micanopy, and Waldo.
But
And
that's
I
what
think
they're
if we
doing
split
by
it
population.
evenly among all 8, then I think that's the fairest, most equitable approach. And Gainesville still has $6 million while we get $375,000. It's a big difference.
Yeah, if you look at number 1, which was based on the revenue sharing basis population, La Crosse gets, let me see, 4,910, Micanopy 11,000, Waldo 14,000, High Springs 114, Newberry 137, and Alachua 184. But then they did a different previous distribution basis based on last year where they were a little more equitable, and you got a little more than that. But overall, it's just, the small cities, it's like, what's the point of the grant?
If you can clarify saying that all 9 cities have to agree, I can.
Well, okay, so all I can say is that that's what they said at the original city manager meetings, okay? Now, if something's changed between now and then, because of a lot of it could have changed from the last meeting. There was a lot of heated discussion last week, right, Mayor?
Yes, indeed.
And so there could have been changes from then, but I can't say 100% they haven't changed. All I can say is originally that's what we were told.
Okay, so let me clarify something else for me. So now you say if all 9 cities don't agree, then they go to the population?
Then they go to they said that they could go to competitive bid. At first they're saying that's what we're going to do. And now at the last city managers meeting, they said, well, we might consider having the county go with one of these others and make the decision themselves after they saw how heated the small cities were. So I want to give you a specific answer, but I'm not.
So-
They're going back and forth too.
So it sounds to me like staff needs to come back with 2 resolutions that are either gonna be 4 or 5, and that between now and when we have those resolutions in front of us, individually, we might wanna be talking with our county commissioners on what they're really gonna do.
I read 333,000 then.
I don't disagree. I don't if that, because we wanna stay away from competitive bidding.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lose. Yeah, we can't win that. But, and if that's the case, you know, it's better than it's been. I'll go with that. But also, you know, at this point, with all the growth we're having and how this money's supposed to be spent, we need to figure out how to get a few more dollars out of Gainesville.
I will say that in talks about other projects sometimes with the county, different county commissioners say different things and they say different things from the county management. So it can be really hard to tell.
I don't know.
Ms. City Manager, which one do you think is most winnable?
I honestly, I think what I personally think is the most fair thing is number 5, excluding Gainesville, but I think what has the best chance for all the cities and not having to do competitive bid, if it goes back to what they've been saying 80 to 90% of the time, then 4 has a better chance because I don't think Gainesville is just going to walk away without a fight.
They know.
I know they're not. No, they're not.
So I think 4 has the best chance.
Not which one's fairest.
Yeah. I think 4 has the best. If the county was to say, if I was the county, you know, you got to think the majority of votes come from Gainesville. So if I was the county, you know, I would probably say,
But they also know
You
the
know.
next election are single-member districts.
yeah.
So, well, I mean, you want to come back to us with a resolution, right?
I need to come back with a resolution. I imagine y'all would do
So-
4 or 5.
Yeah. They come back with 2 and we do our homework? And then we choose?
That would work.
I'm going to fight for that extra $42,000 for us, though, because, I mean, I'm looking at the difference here, and Gainesville can have either 2.5 million of the extra or 2.8 million of the extra on top of the 6 million they're already getting.
Yeah.
It's stunning.
Yes, it is. I've been baffled for many years how the formula used to work between the cities. It's many times I want to throw some of them out the county commissioners out the window where they treated us.
Yeah.
You know, by population, but I
Yep.
don't know. I'm out of gambling myself. I like a sure thing.
That's right.
Yeah, we have,
Is there gonna be negotiation from y'all?
there will be a sit-down negotiation process, or?
Well, what's supposed to happen since Gainesville sent the naughty letter? I don't know what else to call it. Since they sent that, I felt really sorry. There was a new commissioner that was just elected that just kind of walked into the fire at the Alachua County League of Cities, completely, I think, a little blindsided, where he just got all the small cities, so he said he'd go back and talk to his commission again, but nothing against new commissioners, but I don't know, like, how much he can sway them or anything because he's new or, gosh, do you remember? I don't know his name. Do you, Mayor?
Gainesville? Adam?
Yeah, so he said that he understood where the small cities were coming from. He also made the point that, you could tell that Gainesville's going to get something if it's up to him. That's what he's going to try for, and that he would come back at the next Alachua County League of Cities meeting with an answer from his commission.
But did he sound very positive to you?
I think he played middle.
Yes,
What did you think?
right.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Where he is.
Knowing Ed Book, that's what he would do.
You couldn't
Yeah.
say
Smart,
no.
smart guy.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
That meeting would rival some of our meetings, though, so. It was nice to be in the audience for once.
I don't know.
So we're gonna do this from both 4 and 5? And see what happens?
Yeah, I think what Ross wanted to do, Commissioner Ambrose, was get some more feedback from the commissioners in the county and come back. Originally, they had put us on a tight timeline, but at the last Alachua County League of Cities, I felt like they had it. Then they got more loose and kind of extended the timeline, is what I came back with. But even if you don't pass a resolution right now, if you give me direction, because they're going to ask the mayor, what kind of how High Springs felt. So,
Like the redheaded stepchild.
Yes, and that's.
I mean, I understand Commissioner Williams' perspective that you want to go for the most probable number, and 4 is
Right.
probably going to be it. But I would be more than happy to reach out to the county commissioners to make a case for number 5, so we can at least get 375,000 to their, 8 million.
right. And that's, again, the city managers were leaning to number 5. That's where we were leaning. And now we're, I don't want to speak for all the city managers, but last city manager meeting, a lot of us were recognizing that we might not be able to give number 5.
Not fair if Gainesville was be open-minded and was to be concerned about the smaller cities, maybe so, but all of my 18 years sitting up here, nope. Nope. Nope.
But there was also the point of just sending a message.
Absolutely.
Well,
Send who a message?
and part of how
Exactly.
we should say that is that we appreciate the fact that the current formulas are really at a disadvantage to the smaller cities. Waldo, Archer, Micanopy,
we've been-
and we're looking at a formula that helps them, and that is true.
I think that's been communicated to them before about the phone.
There was also a comment by one of the mayors of the cities that, if you look at it percentage-wise, then Alachua, Newberry, and High Springs percentage-wise may be giving up more than Gainesville, is giving up more than Gainesville if we go with one of the more equitable splits.
I'd still vote for standing up for the littlest guys and being part of that charge.
I agree. I agree with that.
Okay. So stand up for the little guy? Okay, that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Are you going to say that, Mayor? Stand up for the little guy?
I think that's what I'm hearing. Am I, everybody?
Yep, we're going to get
All
T-shirts.
right, that's what we saying.
And then the big guys are gonna stamp in the middle of the room and say, nope, no so.
No, so.
Yes, indeed.
Let's hope it'll be 80
But at least
against
we
1.
tried.
Okay.
Okay?
Ain't the first time we tried.
Yeah. Well, don't give up. That's what y'all tell me all the time, don't give up. Just keep trying.
Again, I'm not a gambling man. Sure thing.
Okay.
But
We okay now?
Whatever y'all decide.
Yep, have
All
our
right.
direction, right, Mayor?
Okay, let's move on to number 12. Update on strategic planning effort.
Okay, so some of y'all are going to remember this. This is new to some of y'all. So when I started around 2 years ago, a couple of months after I started, we did a little strategic planning session. And the outcome of it was a list of things for staff to start working on short-term and long-term. The result was, over the last 2 years, it was really nice to kind of look at what y'all had originally come up with. And we accomplished a lot. Not everything, but I think it's good we didn't accomplish everything because it meant we were ambitious the first go around. But we've made some progress even on some of the things we didn't accomplish. So this is basically homework for y'all. We'd like to give y'all 2 to 3 weeks to complete it. It's not too bad. It looks worse than it is. So everything with the yellow highlight, staff is asking that you complete. And if you have any questions, I can meet with y'all one-on-one or Bruce or, however you want to do it. It's really simple questions just to kind of figure out what your priorities are for the short and long term. And then what we'll do is have a strategic planning session. We'll pull up, what y'all tasked us with previously, what we've accomplished, what we haven't accomplished, and kind of your priorities, what your new priorities are. And then we'll have, discussion. And out of that discussion, we'll come up with a new list for y'all to approve or disapprove or change around. I expect you normally there'll be a first draft, you'll change around, then there'll be a final, hopefully. And so basically in the next 2 to 3 weeks, staff would like to receive these back. You can drop them off with Ashley Malden or Christy. And I'll email you electronic copies as well. And I'm pulling this up. What was I? Oh yeah, I was pulling up my calendar. So that would kind of put it at maybe the first week in March, if you could turn them in by March 2nd. And then and we'd like to the 4th or 5th week in March, possibly on a Saturday if possible, unless you want to do an evening one day during the week. We'd like to either have an evening session or more than one evening session or a Saturday morning, whatever's best for you, to kind of have a workshop. It's probably a little much to have the workshop during a commission meeting. It'll be too long.
We can pick another evening.
So when you turn in your worksheets or in the next week or so, we'll be calling and asking what dates work best for you.
Will we be able to see staff's input on this? That would be really nice.
Yeah, so staff does their input, and then we usually provide it to y'all. I kind of tally everything up at the same time, and I try to give it to you in a packet before the strategic planning session.
Okay, everybody, we clear on that one? Okay, we got one last one, number 13.
December 8th meeting, we had a discussion in reference to our contract with WCA or GFL in reference to some of the discrepancies and deficiencies we've had with the trash company. If you look in your packet, there is a list of issues we've had dating back all the way to April of 2021 to as current as we have. And we found several deficiencies, met with the city attorney's office several times. Danielle's been wonderful on this. We went back and forth. We've been working on this for a few months, well, since December. Have got a backup plan in place, got some things in work, and the city attorney's office believe we have enough to terminate the contract with GFL. So what is in front of you is a resolution to move forward with that and let the city attorney do his part.
Madam Mayor, I'll go ahead and read the resolution by title only. This is resolution number 2023B, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of High Springs, Florida, to approve the termination of the solid waste franchise agreement between the City of High Springs and GFL Environmental beginning May 1st, 2019 through April 30th, 2024. The appropriate motion is to pass resolution number 2023-B upon its reading by title only.
Comments?
Just one question for the city attorney. So legally, we good and no repercussions, no comeback lawsuits and all that good stuff.
I think that what this does is it tells GFL that we're very, very upset over what has transpired. And I don't know if it was our office, Danielle, that put together the spreadsheet or if it was the city staff, but the spreadsheet was very well done. And it shows that there are certain instances where we've put them on notice repeatedly for the same properties, and yet nothing happens for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So those are the areas that under the contract we say that, look, this is violative of the contract. And then there's multiple instances where it's the same type of behavior that is never rectified and repeated over and over and over again. So I think the spreadsheet's very well done. And my thought is to send this to them, and I think the responsiveness that we're getting is they may want to end the contract. It is where we're at. If they say, no, we want to keep the contract and we don't believe that we have violated the contract and we haven't been given an opportunity to cure, we're going to show them that spreadsheet and say, what is going on here? What's happening? But the bottom line is that your citizens are contacting city staff is contacting GFL, and we're not getting any relief. We're not getting the response. So you need to answer that, and then we take the next step and the next step. So the last thing that we want is a lawsuit, and we will let you know if their response is, look, we want to end this contract just as much as you all do. Open it up for bid. We feel that we can't make money because the contract isn't, lucrative for us. We don't want to be in small cities anymore. I don't know what the response will be. I do know that there's a different name than the company that we originally had the bidding for. So if maybe there's internal changes here, we're going to investigate all those things and then come back to you and tell you what their response is and what we think is the next step and the next step. But I don't think it behooves us to be in litigation with them. It doesn't behoove them to be in litigation with us. But we can't keep doing what we're doing. That's really the bottom line.
Madam Mayor, if I may. Mr. Walker, I know that we're bound by using only one of two solid waste facilities haulers because that's a county requirement. Do you see there will be an opportunity at any time to be able to go out on our own and get our own? I mean, if we just went across the line to Columbia County, for bids, we could save so much money than with this current setup. But I know that Alachua County requires it. What kind of legal leeway do we have there?
Where you get into a question mark is the waste transfer stations. That's where the real rub comes in. So when you collect I believe that our waste haulers go to the New River.
They do in Union County. It all goes to Union County.
Yeah.
But it all first goes to the Levita Brown transfer station, way out on the other side of town. And in terms of, you talk about environmental impact. If we drove it right up to Winfield in Columbia County, it'd be a whole lot shorter distance. Columbia County doesn't have a transfer station. It would go straight to the solid waste facility instead of going to a central location. I understand for Alachua County that makes sense, or for Gainesville that makes sense, but for us, it would be so much quicker to do some other things and much cheaper. But, legally, do we even have a leg to stand on to fight Alachua County on that anyway?
I think that's the problem is in the tipping fees and the cost goes up prohibitively to not use the current contracts for waste disposal in Alachua County. That's where I think the problem is.
So Alachua County requires us to use one of the two, and I know they all go to our transfer station, but I mean, our tipping fees, if we went directly to Columbia County, would be significantly less if we were permitted to do that. Is there any legal way that we would be permitted to do that?
We can look at that. I'm happy to look into that. I think we looked at that, not for High Springs, another one of the cities, some time ago. And there was some problems with doing it that way, and there was an increased cost in what we could do. Related
That's
to
interesting, because, I mean, I've worked in those facilities many years ago, and the tipping fee for New River is significantly higher than other counties. Putnam County may not take it. Marion County, much, much cheaper. So if we had some kind of legal way to explore that option, it might save us some money.
Happy to look at it.
I appreciate it.
Madam Mayor, I just want to give credit where credit is due in terms of the spreadsheet. Amy and Grace in the city staff's office are just phenomenal. They made an entire record of all of the emails that they received and the phone calls that they received over the course, as Bruce said, from April of 2021 to December of 2022. And there were 343 complaints lodged in that period of time. And that's assuming that every single email got put into that Excel spreadsheet. You know how busy they get and things get crazy. But on top of that, there were 5 instances in which an event happened, the 30-day cure period started, and whatever the issue was not rectified in that 30-day cure period. On top of that, you had one instance in which 7 weeks went by, and they were notified multiple times. I mean, city staff's on top of it. They were following up the next day. If someone's waste hadn't been picked up like they had been asked, they were following up the next day. I mean, we have email threads. Bruce has been great in sending them to me in order to craft this letter that just go on and on and on of Grace with exclamation points. Please help these people. They need their trash picked up. So I just did want to give credit where credit is due in terms of the spreadsheet. I made it a little bit more generic so that folks' information wasn't on it, but city staff is wholly responsible for the completeness and detail of that spreadsheet. So that was all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
How many you said it was? How many?
343.
343?
Yes, sir. Over the course of that 20-month period.
I think out of that 343, there's 15 incidences of whole subdivisions, not like houses, whole subdivisions that have been missed. Edgemore being a couple times in there.
You'll find in I think it's the 4th column over, if something was especially egregious, I made note of it, something to the terms of 7 weeks missed, whole subdivision missed. So that is also noted in the spreadsheet that we have as Exhibit B to that letter. So in these really problematic ongoing issues, we made special note such that it was demonstrated in that spreadsheet that we've been trying really hard to get this problem resolved.
And there's one instance in there you'll see at the community school, to a point that it was so bad and the responsiveness was it was bad. But the health department got involved is to the level that escalated to. So it's escalating, getting worse to a point to where even some of the stuff in January after the first of the year that's been sent on misses and things like that the responses we're getting back are, we'll send you photos. We're going to do that. They're not even responding to the issue at play. They don't want to be here. It's evident. It's just I'm done dealing with it from a management standpoint. I'm getting the same phone calls you're getting on the weekends, and it's egregious at this point. It just needs to be dealt with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner White's, there are 2 trash companies in the county that are allowed to pick up trash. We have reached out to the other company. They are willing to assist us in this matter, and they have told us what they need to make it happen. We are aware. We'll see how the response comes back on this. That company is ready to come in and address the commission, discuss how we'll do the phase-in, how things will transpire, where we'll go, and how this transition is going to be. One thing specific, and we've all talked about this, is we do not want Friday pickups, period. It doesn't do us any good. They're missing it on Friday. Staff's coming in on Monday with mailbox is full dealing with this, and at this point, it's already been out there 3 and 4 days. We got to address it sooner. So we've asked for something beginning the middle of the week. This way, if something does get missed or there is an issue, we can deal with it more in a timely manner as far as staff goes, getting back to them and try to get something resolved before a weekend comes into play.
So you're at liberty to say what company that is?
It's Waste Pro.
Waste Pro.
Waste Pro and WCA/GFL are the only two companies in Alachua County currently.
That's because, see, I ain't got Jenny here now to go back with me. We used to have Waste Pro.
Correct. We had Waste Pro, and then you were on the commission at the time, I believe. No, you weren't. You were, never mind, disregard that. And they came in and they were going to save the world.
Yeah.
They
was cheaper.
promised us a bunch. They were cheaper, and we've been dealing with this for a while.
Get what you pay for.
Do we have any audience comments?
I don't think we got no audience out there. Everybody work for the city, right? You work for the city, y'all? With the green here? And that's a citizen? Yeah.
That's
my wife. That's who it was. Oh, so nice to meet you, Christian wife. Well, you're close.
She's the smart one of the relationship.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't say it.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023B as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second. We need a roll call. Yes.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Okay, with that, we've been here a long time, y'all. All right, city attorney report. Nothing to report. All right, city manager.
So the Florida League of Cities is coming up. The legislative action days is April 3rd through 5th. So I think that staff was thinking the 4th was the best day to go because we don't have the time to go 3 days. And they had mentioned the Alachua County League of Cities that they would be sending a bus. So staff was thinking of driving down separately to try to make individual meetings because we put in some appropriation requests. But, coming to the meetings with us or going to the Alachua County League of Cities, they're trying to figure out if they're going to do a bus again or not. But if you're interested, please let us know so we can register you and coordinate with either going with us or Alachua County League of Cities. Again, it's April 3rd through 5th.
Let's see. Third well is in. It is there. We are waiting on Duke to hook power up to it. So just to give you an update on that, hopefully next couple weeks. Power, third well, next couple weeks. Yes. Elevator's done, waiting on a few little things, but if you got a chance to ride it up, it's a big improvement from what we had before.
Yes.
I gotta give a shout out to the attorney's office. Danielle and I have been going through, dealing with a lot of stuff with this and some other things we've been working on. We figured out a couple little things that were causing some backlog in communication between city staff and the city attorney's office. We believe we have that resolved, like 100% resolved at this point. And with the way we streamlined it, and they've streamlined some stuff and some email additions and some different things we've done, I think we have it fixed. I think we're really good with where we're at right now with working with their office, getting timely responses back. We got the dialogue going now. We've got the Excel spreadsheet in the background so we know what we're working on and where it's at. So there's a lot of positive things going on there. I just wanted to relay that to the commission, and it's been really, really great for this GFL.
That's a Danielle.
Yeah.
Credit where credit is due. So
Through this GFL process, as long as we've been working on this, and we started this process in December, and to turn it around as fast as we did with the holidays and everything else is just a testament to what we've been able to accomplish. And we were able to figure out some things that were getting lost in translations and where the emails were going, and we've got that fixed now. So city staff got an email from me, understanding the new process and some things going. I would anticipate there'll probably be something coming from the attorney's office if there's something particular you need to follow a very similar process, and that will clean up a lot. So I just wanted to let you know, a lot of dialogue, Danielle, a lot of hard hours on that, and we're trucking along now, so we got things going. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Grunda down there.
They have said enough.
You said
I want to
enough?
thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, even though they all left, except for Amy. No, I appreciate city staff. You guys worked very hard on a lot of these things, and it's not easy, and a lot of stuff's getting done, and you guys are doing it. So thank you. Thank you, Danielle, and to the city attorney's office for getting this trash thing done. Now my mom won't be calling me, telling me that her trash wasn't picked up. So I appreciate it.
I wanted to give a shout out to Chief Shepherd and your officers, national attention for finding those 2 kids that were abducted
Yes.
a year ago.
Yes.
Thank you all for helping those babies come home.
That's right, yes.
And I wanted to bring attention to the survey that Chief Shepherd has online. It's a really good survey, and I would encourage people to fill that out. It was great feedback and just shows his commitment to the community, and I really appreciate it. And Angela said that she thinks we have 5 applications for the Mayor's Youth Council. I think we got another one coming in. I'm working on another one, so bring the kids if you can. I'd love to get it going. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Williams.
Thing I have, for the meeting, the Florida League of Cities, I'll go, but I'm gonna drive my own car.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Just in case. And also, we always give kudos to Antoine and Chief Shepherd and others. I want to give kudos to JT out there at that plant. JT is a mechanic. And JC, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about JT off.
JT, the police.
JC. He ain't no mechanic. Is all those pumps he got sitting around that place out there, and how he constantly working on them to make sure that we save money to put them back into the ground. I just want to send out a shout out to JC. And not only him, I met the other young man out there that's running the plant now. John, what's his name? Richard. So I said, Richard, well, I guess you're doing a very good job because I don't smell anything. He said, well, that's a good. He said, I'm glad to hear that. But I just want to say them young men are doing an outstanding job out there. So if you ever get the chance to go visit.
Oh, I have.
Go visit. And also, you can see my name on the wall out there. That was one of the first places that my name went on. Somebody read my mind over there. But I want to thank them for the job they're doing out there, try to save us money with those pumps. And they showed me some other pumps that they got now that's really much easier to fix and they're less expensive, but they last long the way they are built. So that's a wonderful thing. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Ambrose.
Okay. We've talked about this, and it's been one of the things that were on the ARPA budget and whatever, but our audio and video for our meetings. I remember when we didn't have the ability to stream anything and whatever, but I really think, a lot of people do follow along online. They can't hear what we're saying. They'd like better resolution. So as you're working for the budget and coming forward, that we really try and up that game so we can eliminate that problem and the feedback here in the room. All these things are doable, so let's at some point work to take care of that and put some money at it so citizens can be engaged that want to be. As Bruce Borders said, we are the cave diving capital of the world. Next week, there will be 2 gentlemen here from Germany. They write for one of the largest diving magazines in Europe that's published in Germany, out of Germany, and specifically on cave diving. And the Tourist Development Council has set up a busy week for them that I've been involved with, but I'll be meeting with them on Thursday afternoon before they leave on Friday to give them a little tour here and have dinner with them. So they'll be here. And that is all I have at the moment.
Okay. And for me, I just want to say thank you to all of you on staff for the things that you do. You are keeping us going, you're keeping our heads above water, and you're doing a very good job. And it is my pleasure to be associated with all of you. So continue, and I love you for what you do. Okay? At that point, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.